I clocked in at 10 every night. Same desk, same chair that leaned a little to the left, same humming soda machine in the corner that never seemed to run out of Mountain Dew, even when the rest of the building felt half dead. I worked dispatch for a small freight company in a town most people only pass through. We handled medical supplies, machine parts, odd contracts that big carriers didn't bother with, the kind of work that ran quiet and paid just enough to keep you tired. Night shift was supposed to be calm. Most nights, I barely spoke to anyone. A driver would check in. I'd log the route. They'd roll out. By 2 in the morning, the phones usually went silent. That silence had weight to it. Not a peaceful kind. More like the feeling you get when you realize you're the only person awake in your house. And every sound feels louder than it should. I didn't mind it. Not at first. Being alone felt safer than being around people. People asked questions. People noticed things. The night didn't. I'd been doing the job about 8 months when the Highway 37 call came in. It wasn't marked urgent. No red flags. Just a standard delivery request from a rural clinic. Pickup scheduled for 1:40 a.m. Drop off before sunrise. I remember squinting at the screen because Highway 37 hadn't shown up on our system before. Not once. We covered most county roads, even the rough ones. This one sat in a blank spot on the map. No traffic history. No previous deliveries. No notes. I thought it was a glitch. I radioed Marty, one of our older drivers. He'd been with the company longer than anyone. If anyone knew weird backroads, it would be him. Marty, you ever run Highway 37? There was a pause. Static crackled. Then he said, 37? Yeah. Another pause. Longer this time. No, he said. You sure that's the number? That's what the request says. Silence. Then he cleared his throat. Must be new. That didn't sound right. But Marty didn't explain. He never liked talking much anyway. I logged the request and assigned it to Evan. Evan was young, early 20s. Fresh CDL. Always eager. He picked up extra routes. Never complained. Always answered the radio with too much energy for someone awake at that hour. Evan, you copy? Yeah, dispatch. What's up? Got a pickup from a rural clinic. Route's Highway 37. Copy that. Where's it at? I read him the coordinates from the request form. He typed them into his GPS. Got it? Looks like a county road off Old Creek. You good with that? Yeah, man. Easy money. Easy money. That was the last normal thing he said. He rolled out around 1:30. I watched his truck icon creep across the screen. Everything looked fine for the first 20 minutes. Then his icon slowed, then stopped. I figured he hit a bad patch of road. Happened all the time. 5 minutes passed. 10. I keyed the mic. Evan, you copy? Static. I tried again. Nothing. I checked the signal strength. Still connected. Just no voice. Sometimes drivers turn their volume down. Sometimes they forgot to answer. I didn't panic. Not yet. Then his icon started moving again. Slow. Too slow. Like walking speed. The road he was on wasn't supposed to be that rough. I zoomed in. The map around him looked wrong. Not blank, but stretched, like someone had pulled the image thin. Road lines bent slightly. Trees were just green smudges. No landmarks. No intersections. Just one long gray line. Highway 37. I called him again. Evan radio check. This time I heard breathing. Not static. Not words. Just breathing. Heavy. Wet sounding. Like someone had run a long distance. Evan, I said. A few seconds passed. Then he spoke. Dispatch. His voice sounded far away. Like he wasn't talking into a mic. Like he was talking into open air. Yeah, I got you. What's going on? I'm on the road, he said. I know. I don't think I'm supposed to be. That was my first real chill. What do you mean? He didn't answer right away. I heard a turn signal clicking, then stopping. I passed a sign. He said, what kind of sign? It didn't have words. I frowned. Like blank. No, he said. Like scratched off. Like someone scraped the paint away. That wasn't impossible. Old signs got vandalized. I see headlights, he said. Oncoming. No. Behind you? I don't know. His breathing got faster. I can't see the road behind me in the mirror anymore. That made no sense. You mean it's dark? No, it's not there. I swallow. Pull over somewhere safe. I don't see a shoulder. Just slow down. I already am. His truck icon had stopped again. Dead still. Evan, are you at the clinic yet? No. How far out? I don't know. He sounded close to crying. I've been driving straight for a long time. How long? I don't know. That answer stuck with me. People always know if it's been 10 minutes or an hour, even when they're scared. I see something, he said. What do you see? A man. Where? On the road. Is he standing? Yes. Does he look hurt? I can't tell. Are your headlights on him? Yes. Describe him. Another long pause. He's tall. Okay. He's wearing, I think, a jacket, but it looks wrong. Wrong how? Like it's too big or hanging empty. My mouth felt dry. Is he moving? No. Evan, stay in the truck. I am. Don't get out. I won't. The radio crackled. I heard Evan whisper. He turned his head. Toward you? Yes. Okay, you're okay. Just stay put. I'm calling Marty. I'm calling the supervisor. I reached for the phone. Before I could dial, Evan spoke again. He knows my name. Cold spread down my arms. Who does? The man. That's not possible. He said it. What exactly did he say? He said, Evan. A long, hollow pause. Evan, listen to me. I said, you're tired. You're stressed. Your brain can make sounds feel real. He didn't say it like a person, Evan said. How did he say it? Like he was remembering it. I didn't know what that meant. I still don't. Evan, I need you to start the truck. It has started. Put in drive. I did. Are you moving? No. Press the gas. I am. The map showed nothing. No movement. No speed. Just a blinking dot on a stretched gray line. I can hear my engine, Evan said, but I'm not going anywhere. My hands were shaking. I didn't tell him that. Evan looked straight ahead. Don't look at the man. I already did. What happened? He smiled. Describe the smile. He didn't open his mouth. What do you mean? The shape just appeared. I heard something else then, not through the radio. Through the building, a low vibration, like a truck idling outside. But there were no trucks scheduled. I looked toward the front windows. The parking lot was empty. The vibration stopped. Dispatch, Evan said. I'm here. There's another one. Another what? Another man. Where? Behind the first. How many? I don't know. Can you still see the road? No. What do you see? Just them. How far away are they? Not far enough. I didn't know what to say. Nothing in training covered this. Nothing in life covered this. Evan, I said softly, you're not alone. I'm with you. I don't think that helps, he said. One of the men lifted his arm. Not fast, not slow, like gravity didn't matter. He's pointing, Evan whispered. At you? No. Where? At the truck. I heard a faint tapping, through the radio. Metal on metal. Slow. Rhythmic. I think they're knocking, Evan said. You stay inside, I said. I am. I swear I am. The tapping moved, from one side to the other, like fingers dragging across steel. I can't see the door handles anymore, Evan said. They're gone. What do you mean gone? Like they were never there. My screen flickered. For half a second, Evan's icon duplicated. 2 dots. Then 1. Dispatch, Evan said. Yes. If I open the door, does that mean I don't come back? Tears filled my eyes. You don't open the door, I said, no matter what. Okay. The tapping stopped. Silence rushed in. Too big. Too heavy. Evan, I said, I'm here. What do you see? The road. Just the road. Yes. Are the men gone? I don't see them. Okay, okay, that's good. I don't think they left. What makes you say that? I think they're inside the road now. I didn't understand. I still don't. The map showed Evan's truck moving. Fast. Too fast. Speed reading jumped to 90. Then 100. Evan slowed down. I'm not pressing anything. His voice stretched, like the radio was bending. I can see the clinic. Good. Pull in. I don't want to. You have to. I don't think it's a clinic. The signal cut. Dead. No static. No tone. Nothing. I tried calling. Radio. Phone. Nothing. I alerted the supervisor. Sheriff. Highway Patrol. They sent units. They searched Old Creek Road. They searched nearby backroads. They never found Highway 37. Not on any sign. Not on any map. Not in any record. Evan's truck was found 3 days later. Parked. Engine cold. Doors closed. Keys in the ignition. No damage. No footprints. No sign of a struggle. The GPS history showed one route. A straight line into empty space. They said Evan probably ran off. Mental break. Drugs. Anything that made sense. I quit 2 weeks later. I don't work nights anymore. But sometimes when I can't sleep, I think about that stretched gray line. About a road that isn't meant to be used. About a man who knows your name before you tell him. And I wonder if Evan ever got out. Or if he's still sitting in that truck. Parked on a road that breathes. Waiting for someone else to be sent down it. I took a week off after Evan disappeared. Not because the company told me to. They actually wanted me back right away. Short-staffed. Always short-staffed. But I couldn't sit in that chair again. Not with his voice still living in my ears. I kept hearing the way he said my name. Not like he needed me. Not like he was asking for help. More like he was already gone and just checking to see if I knew it yet. When I did go back, I asked for a different shift. They told me nights were all they had. So I went back to nights. Different chair. Different desk. Same building. Same humming soda machine. Same empty parking lot. I told myself I wouldn't think about Highway 37. I told myself I wouldn't check that part of the map. I told myself I wouldn't listen for voices that weren't there. None of that worked. 3 nights after I returned, the first call came in. Not from a driver. From a man who said he was lost. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like he was calling to ask about store hours. I think I'm on County Road 12, he said. Okay, I told him. What's the nearest cross street? I don't see any. What landmarks do you see? Trees. Anything else? Ditch. That didn't narrow much down. Rural area. Lots of trees. Lots of ditches. I asked him to describe the road. 2 lanes. No lines. Cracked pavement. No houses. No lights. I pulled up the map. None of our drivers were on County Road 12. No one nearby. I asked for mile markers. He said he hadn't seen any. How long have you been driving? I asked. I'm not sure, he said. That answer made my stomach tighten. Is your car working? Yes. Any warning lights? No. Okay, I said. Let's slow down and figure this out. I asked him to turn around. He said he already had. Twice. Does the road look different now? I asked. No. I heard a soft sound in the background. Not wind. Not engine. Like fabric brushing against something. Is anyone else with you? I asked. No. Do you see anyone on the road? No. Then he paused. Something moved. What kind of something? In the ditch. An animal? I don't think so. Why not? It was tall. Deer can be tall. This was taller. My mouth went dry. Did you see it clearly? No. Why not? It stays where my headlights don't reach. That sentence landed heavy. I didn't tell him about Evan. I didn't tell him about Highway 37. I kept my voice steady. Okay, I said, don't focus on it. Just keep your eyes on the road. I'm trying, he said. Does it look like a person? I don't know. Does it move like a person? Another pause. Yes. Slow. Careful. Yes. I tried to ping his phone. The system couldn't place it. No tower signal, which shouldn't have been possible. He was calling me. Listen, I said, keep driving straight. Don't stop. I don't want to, he said. Why? It feels like if I stop, I won't start again. That echoed Evan's words too closely. I felt something cold crawl up my back. Just keep going, I said. I see it again, the man said. Same place. Yes. Is it closer? I think so. Don't look at it. I didn't. How do you know it's closer then? I can feel where it is. I didn't know what to say to that. Does it make noise? No. Any smell? Yes. What kind of smell? Wet dirt. That smell stuck with me. I'd grown up around ditches, around fields. Wet dirt had a very specific scent. Heavy, rotting, like something had been buried too long. I don't think I'm on County Road 12, he said. What makes you say that? I just passed a sign. What did it say? Nothing. My heart sank. Was it scratched off? Yes. I closed my eyes. Okay, I said. Listen to me very carefully. I am. Do not pull over. I won't. Do not get out of the car. I won't. Do not talk to anything you see. I haven't. Good. The fabric sound came back, closer to the phone. Is something brushing your car? I asked. I don't know. Are your windows up? Yes. Are your doors locked? Yes. I see more shapes, he said. How many? I don't know. Are they in the ditch? Yes. Both sides? Yes. My hands were shaking. I wrapped them around my coffee cup, even though it had gone cold. Are they moving with you? Yes. Same speed. Yes. They're keeping up. Do not look at them. I said again. I'm not. Good. Dispatch. Yes. Why don't they come into the light? I don't know. They could. They don't want to. That sentence felt true in a way I couldn't explain. How far ahead can you see? I asked. Not far. Is there fog? No. Then why? I think the road eats the light. I swallowed hard. Do you see anything ahead? Buildings? Sign? No. I don't think there's anything ahead, he said. That's not possible. I know. The sound of his breathing filled the line. Fast. Shallow. I don't think they're in the ditch anymore, he said. Where are they? I think they're inside the road. The same words Evan had used. My chest hurt. What do you mean? I asked. When my headlights hit the pavement, I see shadows moving under it. I felt dizzy, like they're under the asphalt. Yes, like they're swimming. I had to look away from my screen. I couldn't stare at the map anymore. Dispatch, he said. I'm here. If I stop talking, will you remember me? Yes, I said. I meant it. I don't want to be something that only lives on this road. Tears slid down my face. You're not, I said. I see something different now, he said. What? Lights. Headlights. No. Street lights. No. Then what? Little lights. Low to the ground. Like reflectors? No. They're moving. Toward you or away? Toward me. Are they in the road? No. Where? In the ditch. The fabric sound grew louder, like many things brushing together. Dispatch, he whispered. Yes. They're standing up. How many? All of them. Don't look. I didn't. How do you know? I can feel again. Keep driving. I don't think I am. I checked the call timer. 3 hours had passed. 3 hours. No one could drive 3 hours on a straight county road without seeing something. Are you tired? I asked. Yes. I can't keep my eyes open. You have to. I know. I hear breathing that isn't mine, he said. My stomach twisted. From where? Outside. Windows are up, I said. I know. Then you're imagining it. I don't think so. Focus on my voice, I said. Okay, I'm here. Okay, tell me about yourself. I said, anything. I have a dog, he said. What kind? Old lab. Name? Rusty. Good. Tell me about Rusty. He sleeps next to my bed. Good. He snores. That's okay. I promised I'd take him fishing this weekend. You still will. I don't think I will. Don't say that. I don't think I'm going back. You don't know that. I can see the road ending. My heart skipped. What do you mean ending? It just stops. What's past it? Nothing. Like darkness. No. Then what? Like the world forgot to finish. The fabric sound surged. So loud I had to pull the headset away. Dispatch, she cried. I'm here. They're stepping onto the road. Keep driving. I can't feel the gas pedal anymore. Move your feet. I can't feel my feet. Look at me, I said, even though he couldn't. Look at me. I don't want to look down, he said. Why? I don't think I have a body anymore. The line went dead. No static. No click. Just nothing. They never found him. They never found his car. No missing person report was ever filed. No name in any system. Like he never existed. 2 men now. 2 voices. Same road. Same shapes. Same words. Sometimes I think Highway 37 doesn't just take drivers. I think it leaks. I think pieces of it slip into other roads. Quietly. Slowly. Like rot. And I think one night someone will call me again, and I'll recognize the breathing before they ever say their name. I stopped answering unknown calls after the second man vanished. If a number didn't show up in our system, I let it ring. If a voice sounded wrong, I ended the call. I told myself I was protecting my sanity. The truth is, I was afraid of recognizing someone who didn't exist. I was afraid of hearing breathing that felt familiar. I was afraid of learning the road had learned me too, because after the second call, things started happening even when I wasn't at work. Small things at first, easy to explain away. I'd hear my phone buzz in my pocket. No missed call, no notification, just a phantom feeling of vibration. I'd wake up at night, convinced someone was standing in my bedroom doorway. Nothing there, just darkness, just the sound of my own pulse in my ears. I told myself it was stress, trauma, lack of sleep. That's what people say when they don't want to believe something is wrong. But then the whispers started. Not voices, not full words. More like fragments, pieces of sound. Like someone talking in another room with the door mostly closed. I'd hear it when the apartment was silent, when the TV was off, when the fridge wasn't humming. A soft, dragging murmur. Always too quiet to understand. Always just loud enough to notice. The first clear word came while I was brushing my teeth. I was staring at myself in the mirror. Dark circles under my eyes. Shoulders slumped. Looking older than I should have. I leaned forward to spit. And I heard my name. Not out loud. Not in my head either. Somewhere in between. Right behind my left ear. I froze. Foam dripped from my mouth. The mirror felt wrong. Not distorted. Not blurry. Just distant, like I was looking through thick glass. I whispered, hello? Nothing answered. I didn't tell anyone. Who would I tell? My boss? The police? A therapist? How you explain that a road might be talking to you? That maybe it knows you exist? I tried to drown the whispers. Left the TV on all night. Played music in the shower. Slept with a fan blasting. It helped. A little. Until it didn't. Because the whispers learn how to hide inside other sounds. Inside running water. Inside wind. Inside the low buzz of electricity. They didn't fight the noise. They rode it. I started noticing something else too. Street signs. Not all of them. Just some. I'd be driving to work and catch a glimpse of a sign that looked wrong. Not missing. Not broken. But worn down in a way that didn't make sense. Like someone had scrubbed the paint off with bare hands. No letters, no numbers, just dull metal. Every time I saw one, my chest tightened. I started taking different routes. Longer routes, brighter roads, more traffic, I avoided backroads, avoided county highways, avoided anything with trees too close to the shoulder. But it didn't matter, because one night, on my way home, I saw a sign that made my hands start shaking. Highway 37. The numbers were still there, faded, crooked, but readable. I almost drove past it. Almost. I don't know why I slowed down. Curiosity, fear, some part of me that wanted proof I wasn't crazy. The road behind the sign looked like any other county road. 2 lanes, no lines, trees pressing in from both sides. Dark, quiet. I sat at the intersection with my turn signal clicking. Left, right. Home was right. Highway 37 was left. The whispers were loud then. Not words. Not yet. Just pressure. Like hands pushing gently against my thoughts. I turned right. I drove home. I didn't sleep. The next night at work, the system flagged a new delivery request. Rural clinic. Pickup 1:40 a.m. Route, Highway 37. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't touch anything. Didn't breathe. Didn't blink. I waited for it to disappear. It didn't. I closed the request. It popped back up. I minimized the window. It reopened. My phone buzzed on the desk. Unknown number. I didn't answer. The voicemail icon appeared almost instantly. I didn't open it. The office felt smaller than usual, like the walls had moved closer. The soda machine hummed. The lights flickered. I heard something underneath it all, a soft dragging sound, like fabric brushing against concrete. I whispered, "No," not to anyone in particular. The radio crackled. No one was supposed to be calling in. "Dispatch," a voice said. It wasn't Evan. It wasn't the lost man. It was my voice. Not a recording. Not distorted. Me, saying the word the way I always said it. Flat, tired, familiar. I didn't answer. "Dispatch," my voice said again. The map screen lit up. A blinking that appeared. On Highway 37. Labeled with my employee ID. I pushed back from the desk. So hard my chair tipped over. I stood there breathing hard. "This isn't real," I said. The whispers swelled. Still not words, but closer, thicker, heavier. I grabbed my jacket, my keys. I walked out. I didn't clock out. Didn't tell anyone. I just left. I drove without thinking. No destination. Just movement. Streetlights blurred past. Traffic lights changed without me noticing. At some point, I realized I was on a road I didn't recognize. 2 lanes, no lines, trees on both sides. My headlights felt weak, like they weren't reaching as far as they should. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I threw it into the passenger seat. It kept buzzing, over and over. I didn't pick it up. The radio turned on by itself. Low volume, static, then a voice. Not mine, not Evan's, not anyone I knew, but it sounded like it was trying to sound like me. "You work nights," the voice said. My hands clenched the steering wheel. "You listen to people disappear," it said. "I didn't choose that," I whispered. "You stayed," the voice said. "I needed the job." Silence. Then, "You were supposed to leave after the first one." My chest tightened. I don't know how. Static, then softer. "You think roads are just places." The trees felt closer. "You think they don't remember." The whisper slid into my head without passing through my ears. "You think we don't listen." I shook my head. "I don't want this." A memory surfaced. Not from that night. From years ago. Me at 16. Sneaking out. Driving drunk. Clipping a mailbox. Not stopping. Driving home. Never telling anyone. Another memory. My mother crying in the kitchen. Me pretending not to hear. Going to my room. Putting on headphones. Letting her be alone. Another. A man at a gas station asking for a ride. Me saying no. Watching him walk away into the rain. The voice whispered each memory before I fully saw it. Not accusing. Not angry. Just stating. Like reading a list. "I don't talk about those," I said. "We know," the road said. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded. Stopped. My headlights lit up a sign. No letters. No numbers. just scraped metal. My name appeared on it, not painted, not carved, like it had always been part of the sign. I screamed. The sound felt thin, weak. The radio crackled. "Dispatch!" My voice said, "Your route is ready." I locked the doors. "I'm not going," I said. "You already are," the road whispered. I felt pressure in my chest. Not pain, not exactly. Like something pressing inward, squeezing gently. "Why me?" I whispered. "Because you listen," it said. "Because you remember." "I don't want to remember." "That doesn't matter." Shapes moved in the edges of my headlights, not stepping into the light, never into the light. Tall, thin, too still. My phone buzzed. A voicemail notification appeared. Against my will, I picked it up. I hit play. My own voice filled the car. Crying. "I'm on the road." My voice said, "I don't think I'm supposed to be." I threw the phone down. I didn't say that. I whispered, "You will." The road said. The car engine revved. I wasn't touching the gas. The speedometer climbed. 30, 40, 50. I couldn't steer. I couldn't move my feet. The shapes kept pace. The headlights showed less and less road, like the darkness was eating it. The whisper grew close. Not around me, inside me. "We don't need your body," it said. "We need your voice." Tears streamed down my face. "I don't want to be a voice." "You already are," it said. I thought about Evan, about the lost man, about how they begged to be remembered. I took one hand off the wheel. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I turned the radio knob. Static exploded. The whisper wavered. I cranked the volume. Louder, louder, until the speakers screamed. I slammed my eyes shut. I screamed too. When I opened them, I was parked on the shoulder of a familiar road. Street lights, painted lines, houses in the distance, morning light bleeding into the sky. My car was off. The radio was silent. My phone was on the floor, cracked. No missed calls, no voicemails. I don't work dispatch anymore. I don't drive at night. I don't take backroads. But sometimes, when everything is quiet, I hear my name, not from outside, not from inside, from somewhere in between. And I know the road remembers me, and it's waiting for me to remember it back. I've been driving trucks for almost 15 years, long enough to stop trusting shortcuts, long enough to know that if a road looks too empty, there's usually a reason, and long enough to understand that machines don't always break in ways that make sense. Most of the time, when something goes wrong, it gives you warning, a flicker, a noise, a slow fade. What happened to me didn't. It started with my GPS telling me to turn where I knew damn well there wasn't a turn. It was just after midnight. I was hauling frozen food east, running a route I'd driven dozens of times before. Same highway, same exits, same fuel stop, same tired rhythm. The cab smelled like coffee and diesel. The radio played low. Nothing special, nothing strange, until the GPS said, "Turn right in 500 feet." I glanced down at the screen. The blue line bent off the highway into a thin gray road I didn't recognize. There wasn't supposed to be anything there. No county road, no service road, just trees and a drainage ditch. I shook my head. "Yeah, no," I muttered. I kept going straight. The GPS went quiet. Then, 10 seconds later, recalculating, the screen flickered. The blue line redrew itself. Now it showed me back on course. Like nothing had happened. I figured it was just a glitch. Cheap unit. Old maps. Happens all the time. 10 minutes later, it did it again. Turn right in 500 feet. Same tone. Same calm voice. Same invisible road. This time, I slowed down. Not because I planned to turn, just to take a better look. My headlights swept across the shoulder. Tall grass. Weeds. A shallow ditch. No pavement. No gravel. Nothing. I stayed on the highway, recalculating. Again it corrected itself. Again it acted like nothing was wrong. I told myself to ignore it, but a seed had been planted. Every few minutes after that, I caught myself checking the GPS, waiting for it to speak. When it stayed quiet, I felt better. When it didn't, my stomach tightened. The third time it happened, I noticed something else. The mile marker I passed said 114. A few minutes later, I passed another mile marker. I frowned. I knew this stretch. Markers should have been counting down. I checked my odometer. It was ticking up like normal. Speed was steady. Everything looked right, except it wasn't. I told myself the markers were probably old, misplaced. Counting never fixed them. Still, I should have been past that number by now. I drove another 10 minutes. Another marker. Same number. Same faded green paint. Same little dent near the bottom. That's when I turned the radio off. Silence makes you notice things. The hum of the engine. The whisper of tires on asphalt. The faint rattle of something loose in the cab. And underneath it all, a feeling. Not fear yet. More like pressure. Like the air had thickened. The GPS stayed quiet. No recalculating. No directions. Just a blue line stretching straight ahead. I told myself I was tired. I'd been running hard all week. Sleep debt does weird things. I reached for my coffee. Took a sip. It tasted burned. Bitter. Wrong. I rolled the window down an inch. Cold night air rushed in. It smelled damp. Like wet leaves. And something else. Old. I drove another 5 minutes. Another mile marker. My heart started to thump harder. Okay, I said out loud. Okay. I slowed down. I scanned both sides of the road. Trees. Dense. Unbroken. No lights. No houses. No signs of life. Just endless forest and asphalt. The GPS spoke again. Turn right in 500 feet. My hands tightened on the wheel. There is no road there, I said. The GPS didn't respond. 500 feet passed. Nothing. No turn. No opening. The GPS went silent. Then, recalculating. The screen flickered. For a split second, I saw something different. Not a map. Not roads. Just a gray background with a single thin black line looping in a wide circle. Then it snapped back to normal. I blinked hard. Maybe I imagined it. I didn't feel like I imagined it. I needed a reset. Something physical. Something real. I signaled and pulled onto the shoulder. The truck rolled to a stop. The engine idled. I grabbed the GPS unit and unplugged it. The screen went black. Good. I set it in the cup holder. I took a few deep breaths. In. Out. You're fine. I reached for my phone. No signal. Not even a single bar. That wasn't right either. This highway always had at least one bar. I put the phone down. Plugged the GPS back in. The screen lit up. It booted. Brand logo. Loading bar. Map. Blue line. Same highway. Same direction. Same calm voice. Turn right in 500 feet. I felt a cold ripple move through my chest. No, I said. I put the truck in drive. Pulled back onto the road. I decided I was taking the next real exit. Didn't care where it went. Didn't care if it added hours. I just wanted off this stretch. 10 minutes passed. No exits. No signs. No on-ramps. Nothing. The road stayed perfectly straight. Perfectly empty. I checked my mirrors. Empty. No headlights behind me. No glow ahead. Like I was the only thing moving in the world. Another mile marker. I laughed. It came out wrong. Thin. Shaky. Real funny. I said, the GPS spoke. Turn right in 500 feet. I slammed my hand against the dash. Shut up. The voice didn't change. Didn't react. Just waited. I felt trapped. Not in a dramatic way. Not like walls closing in. More like I'd wandered into a place that didn't have an edge. A place that only repeated. The thought scared me more than anything else. Because you can escape danger. You can't escape endless. I watched the shoulder carefully, half expecting the invisible road to suddenly appear. It didn't. 500 feet passed. Recalculating. This time, the screen didn't go back to normal right away. The map blurred. The blue line twisted, stretched, curved, then snapped into a loop. The highway bent into a wide circle, and my little arrow icon sat on it, moving, going nowhere. I stared at the screen. My mouth felt dry. I'm in a loop? I whispered. The GPS said nothing. I kept driving. Another mile marker. I started noticing small details. Things I hadn't before. A dead tree on the right side with a split trunk shaped like AV. A piece of shredded tire on the left shoulder. A bent reflector post. 10 minutes later, the same tree, same tire, same post, exact positions. I wasn't just seeing the same number. I was seeing the same place. Over and over and over. My breathing got shallow. Okay, I said. Okay. I needed to break the pattern. I slowed down, then sped up. Nothing changed. I drifted slightly toward the center line, then toward the shoulder. The road stayed smooth, perfect, unresponsive. I reached for the GPS again. This time, I didn't unplug it. I held it in my hand. The screen felt warm, warmer than it should. Why are you doing this? I asked it. It didn't answer, but I had the strange feeling it was listening. The voice came back, soft, calm, turn right in 500 feet. I looked up, and for the first time, I saw something in the ditch. Not clearly, just a shape, low to the ground, too dark to make out. It moved, not fast, not slow, like it was keeping pace with me. I told myself it was a deer, a big one. They move weird sometimes. I kept my eyes on the road. A few seconds passed. I glanced again. The shape was still there, still moving, same speed. I sped up. The shape stayed with me. My heart started to pound. Don't. I whispered. Another shape appeared, on the other side, mirroring the first, both just outside the reach of my headlights. I didn't look again. I didn't want to know. The GPS spoke. Turn right in 500 feet. I knew then. The GPS wasn't broken. It was lying, and I had the terrible feeling. Whatever was out there was using it to keep me here. I didn't want to look back at the ditches. Once you notice something moving where nothing should be, you start seeing it everywhere. Every shadow feels alive. Every dark patch feels crowded. So I kept my eyes on the road, on the repeating mile markers, on the thin white lines that felt more like chalk than paint. The GPS stayed quiet for a few minutes. That silence felt worse than the voice. Silence meant waiting. Waiting meant the loop was getting ready to show me something new. I passed the dead tree again. Split trunk like a broken wishbone. The shredded tire. The bent reflector. Then the mile marker. Only this time, there was something standing next to it. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I barely breathed. It stood on the right side of the road. Half on the shoulder. Half in the grass. Just a person-shaped outline at first. Tall. Still. Facing the road. I told myself it was a trick of light. A signpost, a mailbox, anything but what it looked like. But as my headlights brushed across it, I saw arms, long, hanging straight down. I saw legs, too thin. I saw a head, no hat, no hair I could make out, just a dark shape where a face should be. I drove past. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't look back. I kept telling myself, you didn't see that, you didn't see that, you didn't see that. The GPS spoke. Turn right in 500 feet. My hand shook on the wheel, recalculating. The screen flickered. The loop reset. I knew it had reset without even looking because the pressure in the air changed. Like something had quietly taken a breath. Dead tree. Shredded tire. Bent reflector. Mile marker. The man was still there. Closer. Not by much, but enough. Enough that I could see more detail. His clothes were dark, not black, just drained, like the color had been washed out too many times. He wore what looked like a jacket, but it hung wrong, too loose, like it wasn't filled properly, like there was too much space inside it. His head was tilted slightly, not toward me, not away, just off. I didn't slow down. I didn't speed up. I drove like nothing was wrong. Like I hadn't just watched a human-shaped thing stand beside a road that didn't exist. I passed him. Again. I still didn't look in the mirror. The GPS went quiet. Then, turn right in 500 feet. Recalculating. Loop reset. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. He was closer. Now he was standing fully on the shoulder, not in the grass anymore. His shoes were on the pavement. They looked old, worn. One of them had a hole near the toe. I don't know why I noticed that. Some stupid part of my brain still wanted to catalog details. Like this was something normal. Like I was just observing a stranger. His face was still shadow. But I could tell where his eyes should be. Not because I saw them, because I felt them. I felt the weight of attention. That's the only way I can describe it. The feeling you get when someone is staring at you from across a room, even if you can't see their eyes. I drove past. Again, the loop reset. Again, dead tree, tire, reflector, mile marker. He was closer, standing at the edge of the lane now. Not in it, not blocking me. Just close enough that if I drifted even a little, I would hit him. I whispered, "Please don't." I don't know who I was talking to. The road, the man, myself. The GPS stayed silent longer this time. No turn prompt. No recalculating. Just the hum of my engine and my breathing. Then, turn right in 500 feet. Recalculating. Loop. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. He was in the lane. Standing in the middle of my lane. Not moving. Not reacting. Just there. I hit the brakes. Hard. The truck slowed. Not as fast as it should have. Like the road didn't want to let go. I stopped 10 feet from him. The headlights lit him up. Fully. I wish they hadn't. He looked like a man. That was the worst part. Not a monster. Not a creature. Not something obviously wrong. Just a man. Mid-30s maybe. Thin. Pale. Skin too smooth. No wrinkles. No blemishes. No pores I could see. His eyes were open, but they weren't focused. They pointed slightly outward. Like they weren't looking at anything. Or like they were looking at too much. His mouth was closed. Lips pressed together. Not tight. Not relaxed. Just set. He didn't breathe. Not that I could see. His chest didn't rise. Didn't fall. I whispered, "Hey!" My voice sounded tiny in the cab. He didn't react. I honked. The sound exploded into the night. He didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Didn't move. I eased the truck to the left. Crossed the center line. Slow. Careful. My trailer cleared him by maybe 2 feet. I watched him in the side mirror. I didn't want to, but I did. He turned his head. Not fast. Not slow. Just enough to follow me as I passed. His body stayed perfectly still. Only the head moved. I felt something inside me crack. Not break. Crack. Like a tiny fracture spreading. I kept driving. Didn't stop. Didn't look back again. The GPS stayed quiet. For almost a full minute. I started to hope. Hope is dangerous in places like that. Recalculating. The loop reset. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. He was there. Again. Standing beside the marker. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just almost run him over. I screamed. I couldn't help it. It came out raw. Ugly. I slammed my fist against the steering wheel. No. 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 The man didn't react. He just stood. The loop reset. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. Closer. Each time. Always closer. Not rushing. Not lunging. Just gaining ground. Like he had all the time in the world. Like time didn't apply to him. I tried something different. When the loop reset again, I floored it. The engine roared. Speed climbed. 60. 70. 80. The trees blurred. The mile marker still came. He was there, closer than ever, standing at the edge of the lane. Speed didn't matter. Nothing I did changed the distance. The loop reset. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. He was almost touching my mirror. I could see the texture of his skin now. Not skin exactly. More like wax. Slightly uneven. Like it had been poured into the shape of a man. I started crying. Not sobbing. Not loud. Just tears sliding down my face. "I don't understand," I said. "I didn't do anything." The man's lips twitched. Just a little. Not a smile. Not a frown. Just movement. The GPS spoke. Turn right in 500 feet. I laughed. It sounded hysterical. There's no right turn. Recalculating. The loop reset. Dead tree. Tire. Reflector. Mile marker. He wasn't by the marker anymore. He was in front of my truck. Right in front. So close I couldn't see his feet. Only his torso. His face. His empty eyes. I hit the brakes. Nothing happened. The truck kept rolling. Slow. Steady. Unstoppable. I closed my eyes. I didn't want to feel it. Didn't want to hear it. Didn't want to know what it felt like to hit him. The truck stopped. Silence. I opened my eyes. He was gone. The road ahead was empty. No man. No marker. No dead tree. No tire. No reflector. Just a normal-looking highway. Painted lines. Reflective signs. A green exit sign in the distance. My GPS was off. Black screen. Dead. I didn't question it. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel relief. I just drove. I took the exit. Then another. Then another. I drove until the sky started to lighten. Until I saw other cars. Until I felt like I was back in a place where rules existed. I never saw mile marker 114 again. But sometimes, when I'm driving at night, I see someone standing far off in the shoulder. Just a shape. Just for a second. And I know he isn't trying to stop me. He isn't asking for help. He's just waiting for me to loop back. Waiting for the road to decide I belong there again. I've been towing cars for a long time. Long enough to know most breakdown calls fall into 3 categories. Dead battery. Blown tire. Out of gas. Every once in a while you get something strange. A car in a ditch with no tracks. A vehicle left running in an empty parking lot. Stuff that makes you pause. But nothing ever felt wrong the way that call did. It came in at 1:12 a.m. Graveyard shift. The quiet hours. The hours where the radio mostly spits out static and the dispatcher sounds half asleep. I was parked behind a closed diner, sipping bad coffee, waiting for something to happen. The radio crackled. At first, I thought it was interference. Just that low hiss that fills the gaps between real transmissions. Then a voice pushed through. Not clear. Not strong. Like it had a long way to travel. Tow unit, anyone copy? I grabbed the mic. Yeah, this is Unit 4. Go ahead. Static swallowed everything for a second. Then the voice came back. I need a tow. Simple enough. Location? I asked. Another pause. Old Finch Road. My stomach tightened. I hadn't heard that name in years. Say again. Old Finch Road. I looked toward the empty highway in front of me. Where exactly on Old Finch? Near the bend. That didn't help. Old Finch Road used to run through the woods west of town. Used to. The county closed it after a bridge collapse. Then they tore up what was left. On paper, it didn't exist anymore. What's your nearest cross street? I asked. Static. Then, there aren't any signs. Of course there weren't. Okay, I said slowly. What kind of vehicle? A sedan. What color? I don't know. That gave me pause. Most people know the color of their own car. Is anyone hurt? No. Car running. I think so. You think so? I can hear something. The dispatcher cut in. Unit 4, can you take it? I pressed the mic. Dispatch. Old Finch Road isn't on the map anymore. A pause. Then, caller's GPS is showing coordinates. I'll send them to you. My phone buzzed with the location. A pin dropped in a dark patch west of town. No road name. Just trees. I hesitated. I'll head that way, I said. I don't know why I agreed. Maybe habit. Maybe money. Maybe because saying no felt harder than going. I pulled onto the highway and headed west. The farther I drove, the worse my radio signal got. More static. More dropouts. The voice from the caller didn't speak again. Neither did dispatch. It felt like I was driving away from everything that connected me to other people. The paved road turned into cracked asphalt, then into gravel, then into something in between. Not dirt, not pavement, just hard-packed ground with old tire marks pressed into it. My headlights picked up trees closing in on both sides. Branches reached toward the road. Some scraped lightly against my truck. a dry fingernail sound. I checked my phone. No signal. GPS still showed the pin ahead. No road name. No guidance. Just a dot. I slowed down. This is stupid, I muttered. I reached for the radio. Dispatch, you still with me? Static. Dispatch. Nothing. I tried the caller's channel. Hey, this is a tow truck. You still there? At first, nothing. Then a faint response. I hear you. His voice sounded closer than before. Not stronger. Just closer. I'm about 5 minutes out. I said, I don't think time works right here, he said. That made my skin prickle. What's wrong with your car? I asked. It stopped. Engine died. I don't know. Did it make a noise? I don't remember. People forget details when they're stressed. I told myself that. Do you see my headlights? I asked. No. Do you see anything? Trees. Anything else? The road. Any landmarks? No. The gravel under my tires slowly disappeared. The surface smoothed out. Dark asphalt. No lines. No reflectors. No shoulder. Just road and trees. I hadn't seen a sign in miles. My headlights felt weak, like they weren't reaching as far as they should. The radio hissed. Then the caller spoke without me asking. I didn't know this road was gone. My hands tightened on the wheel. Gone how? They said they erased it. Who's they? The county. How do you know that? My dad used to drive it. Used to. He said people kept crashing. Because of the bridge? No. Then why? He wouldn't say. The temperature in the cab felt colder. Do you see anything around you? I asked. Yes. What? Something's moving. Where? On the side of the road. Animal? I don't think so. Why not? It's too tall. I thought about turning around. I really did. But the road behind me looked different than it had a few minutes earlier. Narrower. Darker. Like it didn't want me to remember what normal looked like. I'm getting closer, I said. I wasn't sure how I knew. I just felt it. The air felt heavier. Thicker. Like fog without fog. Do you hear my truck? I asked. No. Okay. Stay in your car. I'll find you. The radio crackled. Please hurry. That was the first time his voice sounded scared. I came around a gentle curve. My headlights hit something reflective. Metal. A car. Sitting sideways across the road. No lights on. No hazard flashers. Just dark. I slowed to stop a few yards away. I see you, I said into the radio. Silence. I'm here, I said again. No response. I put the truck in park. For a moment, I just sat there, listening, the engine idling, the faint tick of cooling metal. No insects, no wind, nothing. I grabbed my flashlight, opened the door. Cold air spilled in. Not winter cold, not fall cold, just empty cold. The kind that feels like it doesn't belong to any season. I stepped down onto the road. The asphalt felt soft under my boot. Not sinking, just wrong, like stepping on thick rubber. I shined my light toward the car. It was a gray sedan. Driver's door closed, windows intact, no visible damage. I walked closer. Hey! I called. No answer. I tried the driver's door. It was unlocked. I pulled it open. The inside light didn't turn on. The car was empty. No driver. No passenger. No keys. No phone. Nothing. But the engine was warm. I placed my hand on the hood. Still warm, like it had been running recently. My radio crackled. I nearly dropped it. I'm here, the caller said. I spun in a slow circle. You're not in the car. I know. Where are you? On the road. We're on the road. Behind you. I turned. My flashlight beam cut through the dark. Trees. Road. Nothing else. I don't see you. That's because I'm not standing anymore. My heart hammered. What do you mean? I laid down. Why? So I don't fall in. Fall in where? The ditch. I didn't see a ditch. The road dropped straight into darkness on both sides. No slope, No shoulder, just edge. Are you hurt? I asked. I don't think I have a body anymore. My mouth went dry. That's not funny. I'm not joking. The radio filled with soft static, then a sound underneath it, like fabric dragging across gravel. I think something is pulling me, he whispered. Stay where you are. I said, I can't. I'm coming to you. I don't think you should. I took a step. The beam of my flashlight caught something near the edge of the road. A hand, pale, fingers bent wrong, not attached to an arm, just a hand, resting on the asphalt. I froze. The radio crackled. I don't want to be here anymore, the caller said. I don't think I was supposed to stop. The fabric dragging sound got louder. I'm sorry, he whispered. Then the line went dead. No static, no click, nothing. I stood there for a long time. I don't know how long. Minutes, hours. I don't remember walking back to my truck. I don't remember turning around. I only remember suddenly being on a paved county road with signs and reflectors and a normal night sky. Dispatch said they never sent me to Old Finch Road. Said there was no call. Said no coordinates ever came through. They said Old Finch Road was removed from the system years ago. I still tow cars. But if a call comes in with heavy static, if the location doesn't show a road name, I don't answer. Because some roads aren't just erased. Some roads are hungry. And once you hear them, they remember your voice. I didn't quit after Old Finch Road. People ask me that sometimes. They hear the story secondhand. They hear the part about the road that didn't exist. They hear the part about the voice on the radio. They assume I went home, packed up, and found a safer job. I wish I had. But fear doesn't always push you away. Sometimes it traps you. Sometimes it convinces you that if you keep moving, if you keep doing the same thing, you can pretend nothing changed. So I kept towing. Different routes. Different nights. Same dark. Same silence. Same radio. I told myself Old Finch was a one-time thing. A glitch. Stress. Sleep deprivation. I told myself a lot of lies. Then I got the call about the car with no plates. It was around 2:40 a.m. Later than I like to be out. Early enough that the night still feels endless. Dispatch said a state trooper had found an abandoned vehicle on a frontage road near the interstate. No plates. No VIN visible. No driver. No record of it in any system. They wanted it towed to the impound lot. Routine job. At least that's what it sounded like. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I just drove. The frontage road ran alongside the highway, but felt like a different world. No lights, no businesses, just scrub grass, broken fencing, and long stretches of nothing. I saw the cruiser first, parked at an angle, light bar off, just the headlights and a single spotlight aimed at something on the shoulder. I pulled in behind him, killed my engine, stepped out. The trooper stood near the car, hand resting close to his holster. Not on it, just close. That alone told me something was off. Morning, I said. He nodded. You the tow? Yeah. He looked tired, not sleepy tired, worn tired, like he'd been holding something heavy. It's that one, he said, nodding toward the car. It was a dark sedan, black or dark blue, hard to tell. No plates front or back, not even mounting brackets, like they'd never been there. Windows were intact, doors closed, no visible damage. From a distance, it looked clean, too clean. You run the VIN? I asked. He shook his head. Can't find one. None on the dash? Nothing. Door frame? Nothing. Under the hood? He hesitated. I didn't open it. That surprised me. Most cops would have checked. Why not? He looked at the car again. I don't like it. That was all he said. I walked closer. The closer I got, the more wrong it felt. Not in a dramatic way. No buzzing. No sudden dread. Just a quiet sense that something didn't line up. Like a picture hung slightly crooked. The driver's side window had a smear on it. Not dirt. Not grease. A dull brown streak. Dry. Old. I leaned in. It looked like a handprint. Dragged. Fingers pulled downward. I swallowed. You see this? I asked. The trooper nodded. There's more. He pointed toward the passenger side. I walked around. The passenger door had several long scratches. Deep, not like keys, not random vandalism. Parallel lines, like someone had raked their fingernails across the paint over and over. I crouched. At the bottom edge of the door, something dark had pooled and dried. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. I knew what dried blood looked like. You find anything inside? I asked. He shook his head. Didn't open it. You sure you don't want to? He looked at me. You're the one towing it. Fair enough. I slipped on gloves. Reached for the driver's door handle. It opened easily. No resistance. No alarm. The interior smelled stale. Not rotten. Not smoky. Just old. Like a car that had been sealed up for decades. The seats were dark cloth. No tears. No stains. But the floorboard on the driver's side was damp. Not wet. Sticky. Something had soaked in. I shined my flashlight. The pedals were scuffed. Heavy wear, like someone had slammed their feet against them. The steering wheel had more brown streaks. Smears. Finger marks. Someone had gripped it hard. Panic hard. Jesus. I muttered. The trooper shifted behind me. See anything living? No. Good. I checked the back seat. Empty. No bags. No trash. No car seat. No signs of anyone traveling. The glove box was closed. I opened it. Empty. No registration. No insurance. No manual. Nothing. The center console was closed. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a single object. A folding knife. Open. Blade smeared dark. Not shiny. Not fresh. Old. Dried. My throat tightened. You might want to call this in, I said. He shook his head. I already did. And they told me to have it towed. That didn't sit right. This looks like a crime scene. He didn't argue. I know. We stood there for a moment. Neither of us said anything. The highway hummed in the distance. Cars passed. People driving home. Going places. Living normal lives. It felt wrong that they were so close. Like they shouldn't be. I hooked up the winch. The sedan rolled easily. No locked wheels. No resistance. It climbed onto the flatbed, like it wanted to be there. That thought bothered me more than it should have. I secured the straps. Double-checked everything. The trooper stepped back. You good? He asked. Yeah. He nodded, then paused. You ever get the feeling a car remembers something? I looked at him. What do you mean? Like, something happened inside it, and it's still there. I didn't answer, because I knew exactly what he meant. I pulled away. The sedan sat behind me in the mirrors. Dark. Silent. I kept checking the straps. Kept checking the lights. Kept checking the car. I don't know what I expected to see. Movement. A door opening. A shape sitting up. Nothing happened. But the longer I drove, the more I noticed small details. The windshield had tiny chips. Not impact cracks. Tiny pits. Like sandblasting. The roof had shallow dents. Not hail. Too uneven. Too random. I tried to tell myself it was an old car, a neglected car, but everything about it felt intentional, like damage with purpose. Halfway to the impound lot, my radio crackled. Not dispatch, not a clear channel, just static. The same thick static I'd heard before. My stomach sank. Dispatch, I said. No answer. The static shifted. For a moment, I thought I heard breathing. Slow. Wet. Then nothing. I turned the radio volume down. I didn't turn it off. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted proof it was real. Maybe I was afraid of silence. I reached the impound lot, unlocked the gate, pulled inside. Floodlights clicked on. Harsh white light. The kind that makes everything look ugly and flat. I parked in an empty row, lowered the bed, unhooked the straps. The sedan rolled off, stopped, just sat there. I stood behind it, hands on my hips, staring at it, trying to convince myself it was just a car, just metal, just rubber, just an object. I walked around the front. Something new caught my eye. The hood was slightly dented. Not a big dent, a shallow inlet, centered, like something heavy had landed there. I leaned closer. In the dust, there were faint patterns. Not clear, but familiar, long, parallel, like fingers. I stepped back. My chest felt tight. I looked at the windshield. From this angle, I could see faint lines I hadn't noticed before. Inside, on the glass, from the inside, scratches, long, curving, like someone inside the car had tried to claw their way out. I felt dizzy. I hadn't opened the passenger door at the roadside. I walked to it now, pulled the handle. The door opened. The interior light flickered, then died. The seat was empty, but the seat belt was extended, all the way out, twisted. The latch was broken, plastic cracked. The belt itself was frayed, like it had been cut or chewed. I took a step back. I suddenly knew something. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I just knew. There hadn't been one person in that car. There had been more than one, and none of them had gotten out. Not really. I backed away, got into my truck, locked the doors, sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, breathing. In, out, in, out. I told myself to report it. I told myself to call the trooper, call dispatch, call someone. I didn't, because deep down, I already knew what they'd say. They'd tell me to write it up, log it, move on, just like before. The next morning, I asked about the car. Dispatch said the impound lot had no record of it, no intake form, no photos, no log, nothing. I drove by the lot on my way home. The space where I parked it was empty. No tire marks, no oil stains, nothing, like it had never been there. I don't tow cars without plates anymore. If I see one, I keep driving. I don't care who called it in. I don't care what they say, because some cars aren't abandoned. Some cars are the last place something terrible happened, and some of them don't want to be alone with their memories. They want someone new to carry them. I noticed it the next morning. Not right away. Not when I woke up. Not when I brushed my teeth or poured burnt coffee into a chipped mug. I noticed it when I stepped outside. My driveway was empty. My truck sat where I always parked it. Everything looked normal. That's what scared me, because something felt heavier. Not in the air, not in my body. It felt heavier behind me, like when you walk away from someone, but you know they're still standing there, watching. I stood on my porch for a long time, keys in my hand, morning wind brushing against my face, birds chirping in the trees, life happening, normal, boring life. And still, I didn't turn around. I don't know how I knew something was there. I just knew. The feeling followed me all the way to the truck. Each step felt slower than the last, like I was walking through shallow water. When I reached the driver's door, I finally looked. Nothing. Empty driveway. No shapes. No shadows out of place. No movement. I laughed. A short, dry laugh. The kind you make when you're trying to convince yourself you're fine. Get together. I muttered. I got in. Started the engine. The familiar rumble usually calmed me. That morning, it didn't. The vibration felt wrong. Deeper. Uneven. Like the truck was idling under a heavy load. I checked the mirrors. Nothing in the bed. Nothing behind me. No trailer. No car. I tapped the gas. The engine strained slightly. Not much. Just enough to notice. I told myself it was my imagination. The human brain is good at making ghosts out of stress. That's what I told myself. I drove to the yard. Clocked in. Did paperwork. Drank bad coffee. Talked about football with a guy named Rick. Laughed at a joke I didn't really hear. Normal. All of it felt normal. Except every time I walked away from my truck. I felt that same pressure behind me. Not touching. Not breathing. Just present. Like something standing too close. Around noon, Rick waved me over. Hey man, your rear light's acting weird. Weird how? Come look. We walked behind my truck. Both brake lights were on. I was in the cab. No one was pressing the pedal. Electrical short? I said. Rick shrugged. Maybe. He crouched, tapped one of the lights. It flickered, then went solid again. You been towing heavy lately? I thought about the sedan, the one that vanished. Not really. I said. Rick stood. Feels like something's dragging when you pull out a lot. My stomach dropped. You drove it? Yeah, moved out of the way earlier. How bad? Like a trailer brake half engaged. Not terrible. Just there. I nodded. Probably the transmission. I said, I didn't believe that. That night, I took the long way home. I didn't want to be near the impound lot. Didn't want to pass the frontage road. Didn't want to think about cars without plates. The sky was dark by the time I turned onto my street. My headlights swept across houses, trees, mailboxes, then the end of my driveway. I slowed. Something was wrong. I couldn't explain how I knew. No shapes, no movement, just wrong. I pulled in anyway, parked, turned off the engine. The sudden silence rang in my ears. I sat there, hands on the wheel, waiting. For what? I don't know. After a full minute, I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. I stepped out. The feeling hit me immediately, stronger than before. Closer. I didn't look behind me. I don't know why. I walked toward my porch. Each step felt heavier than the last, like my boots were sinking into invisible mud. Halfway there, I heard something. Not footsteps, not breathing. A soft dragging sound. Slow, wet, like something heavy being pulled across concrete. I stopped. The sound stopped. I swallowed. My mouth was dry. I took another step. The dragging started again. Right behind me. I didn't turn around. I don't know how I didn't turn around. I reached my porch, fumbled with my keys. The sound was closer now, so close I could feel vibrations through the ground. I unlocked the door, threw myself inside, slammed it shut, locked it, deadbolt, chain. I stood there, shaking, listening. Nothing. No dragging, no scratching, no footsteps, just my own breathing. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with a lamp on and a baseball bat across my lap. Morning came slowly, gray light leaking through the blinds. I finally worked up the courage to look outside. Nothing in the driveway, nothing on the porch, no marks, no trails, no dents. I almost convinced myself it was a nightmare. Almost, until I checked under my truck. I crouched, shined a flashlight. At first, I saw nothing. Then I noticed the dirt. The dust beneath the rear axle was disturbed, dragged, long streaks running backward, like something had been pulled under there, or had been pulling itself. I wiped my face with my sleeve. My hands were shaking. I didn't go to work that day. I called in sick. Spent the day sitting inside. Lights on, TV playing low. Trying not to think. Around dusk, I heard again. The dragging. Outside, slow, patient, moving across the driveway. I stayed on the couch. Didn't move, didn't breathe. The sound circled the house. Front, side, back, like something searching, looking for a door, a window, a way in. Then it stopped. Silence pressed in. Thick, heavy. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes, hours. Time felt wrong. Eventually, exhaustion won. I woke up in my bed. I don't remember going there. That scared me more than anything else. The next morning, there were scratches on my back door. Long, shallow, for lines, about shoulder height. I didn't call the police. I didn't call anyone. What was I supposed to say? Something invisible followed me home? Something I couldn't prove? I tried to get rid of it. I washed my truck, inside and out. I crawled underneath, scrubbed until my arms ached. I burned sage. I said prayers I barely remembered. I even drove out the frontage road and screamed into the dark. Go back. My voice sounded small, pathetic. Nothing happened. That night, the dragging came back. Closer, louder. This time, I heard something else. A soft tapping, like fingernails against metal, coming from beneath my bedroom floor. Slow, careful, exploring. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, tears sliding into my ears. I understood then. I hadn't just towed a car. I had towed what was left of what happened inside it. Not bodies, not ghosts, something worse. The moment, the violence, the fear, the part that didn't die. It latched onto my truck, then onto me. I quit towing 2 days later, sold my truck, moved out of that house, left town. None of it mattered. It didn't stay with the truck. It didn't stay with the house. It stayed with me. Sometimes late at night, when everything is quiet, I feel that pressure behind me again. I don't turn around. I never turn around, because I know whatever I brought home is still attached. I got the job through an ad in the classifieds. Nothing fancy. Night security, no experience required. The pay was decent for a graveyard shift, and the description mentioned something about a rest stop closed since '94. That was all the detail I needed to know. I drove out there on my first night, a beat-up sedan loaded with a thermos of coffee, a flashlight, and a sense of cautious excitement. The highway stretched in both directions like black ribbon, and the only lights were my own headlights cutting through fog that seemed thicker than usual for early March. The rest stop appeared suddenly, half hidden behind trees that had grown wild over the years. The building itself was battered, windows boarded with plywood, doors sealed, and paint flaking like old scabs. A gas station canopy sagged in the middle, and the pumps were rusted and bent, hoses coiled like dead snakes. A cracked sign leaned at a crooked angle. Closed. Faded since '94, just as advertised. I parked in the old lot. Gravel crunched beneath my tires. The air smelled of wet asphalt and decaying leaves. I could feel the weight of empty space around me. No traffic, no glow of distant billboards, not even a stray car. Nothing alive seemed to exist here, and that was fine. That's what I was paid for. I stepped out, flashlight in hand, and did a quick sweep of the property. The building was nothing but a shell, but the silence made it feel full, like it was waiting for what I didn't know. I checked in with the dispatcher. Radio crackled to life. "Unit 3, you there?" "Yeah," I said, voice unnaturally loud and quiet. "Good. Remember, just watch the property. No reports unless something's amiss." I nodded, even though no one could see me. The first hour passed slowly. I walked the perimeter, clicked the flashlight over broken benches and peeling paint, over dumpsters knocked sideways. Shadows stretched where they shouldn't have, trees leaning over cracked pavement like they were peering in. Every so often, a crow cawed far off, echoing like it belonged to another place entirely. I started the thermos of coffee. The steam curled lazily, the only movement for miles. I sipped and watched, trying to convince myself I wasn't tense. I wasn't scared, just cautious. Around 2 a.m., the first sound came. A soft scuff from the rear of the building, gravel shifting under a footstep. I froze. Nothing visible. I told myself it was wind, leaves brushing against each other, branches breaking under small animals. Common explanations, but it kept happening. Footsteps, light, deliberate, sometimes brushing across the concrete of the old walkway, always coming from behind the boarded-up doors. I called the radio. "Unit 3 to dispatch. I hear footsteps. No one's supposed to be here." Static, then nothing. I laughed nervously. Yeah, must be animals. But my gut didn't believe me. Not one bit. I walked toward the back of the building. Flashlight beam cut through the black. Old vending machines, long stripped of candy and soda, leaned at impossible angles. One had a door hanging open, swinging slightly, squeaking in the wind, or maybe something else. I held my flashlight steady, breathing slow. "Hello?" No answer. I circled the building. The footsteps matched mine now. Same pace, same rhythm. Not faster, not slower, just parallel. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. I wanted to. I considered jumping into the car, calling in Night, pretending I'd misheard, but the job paid well, and the thought of leaving felt like giving in. Then the shadows shifted, not just from the trees or the broken canopy. Something darker moved behind the boards. I could see it in flashes, a figure, a smear of black that didn't belong. I froze. My flashlight flickered. A whisper of air, not from wind, brushed my neck. Go. I spun. Empty lot. Nothing. Gravel under my boots untouched. I laughed again, louder this time, forcing it out. My heart was racing. My hands shook. I gripped the flashlight tighter. I walked back to the front toward my car. The steps behind me stopped. Silence. Heavy absolute. I drove in circles around the lot, trying to keep the headlights sweeping every shadow. Every time I passed the building, I felt it watching from the darkness beyond the boarded windows. Hours crawled. Coffee turned cold. The moon drifted across the sky. My radio was dead. No voice. Just static that whispered like it had words if I pressed close enough. At one point, I swore I saw a movement in the reflection of a window. A shape crouched behind the old snack bar, perfectly still, almost blending in with the darkness. I blinked. Gone. Nothing there. I stepped out of the car again, heart hammering. The lot seemed to breathe under the moonlight. The canopy sagged more. Shadows stretched long. Every noise sounded amplified. Gravel under my boots, my own breathing. The distant hum of highway I couldn't see. I tried talking to myself. It's just an abandoned building. Nothing can hurt you. Then I heard the laugh. Soft. Close. Almost behind me. Not human. Not right. I spun around. Empty lot. The building sat in silence. Boarded windows stared blankly at me. I grabbed my flashlight, swept it across the lot. Nothing. I got in the car, locked the doors. Radio still dead. Headlights illuminating nothing but empty space. I sat there for a long time, willing the night to end. Around 5 a.m., the first truck passed on the highway. Far off, headlights cutting through fog. I exhaled slowly. Daylight would make it easier, would make the building just a ruin, not something that watched. I didn't leave. Not yet. I finished the shift, checked the lot one last time. No signs of movement, no footprints, no voices, just broken concrete and rusted metal and peeling paint. I called dispatch. Unit 3 checking out. All quiet. Copy that, the dispatcher replied. I drove home, headlights on, checking every mirror, feeling the weight of empty space behind me. I still go back. Only sometimes now, only when I need the money. The lot never changes. The building never changes. But sometimes, I swear the shadows shift when I'm not looking, and I hear faint footsteps following me across the asphalt. Closed since '94, they said, but some places, they never really close. They just wait, and when you arrive, they remember that you came. I never liked the bathroom at the old rest stop. Not the first night I worked there, not the second, and certainly not the third. The building itself was quiet, as it always had been. Closed since '94, they said, but inside it breathed. Small creaks in the floor, distant groans of settling wood, air that felt heavy and wet. That was normal for a building that had sat empty for decades. The bathrooms, though, they were something else entirely. I first noticed it around 1:30 a.m. I had walked the hallways, flashlight in hand, checking doors and windows. Everything was as it should be. Peeling paint, dust thick enough to coat my boots, the faint smell of mildew mixing with rust. Then, from somewhere deep in the building, a flicker of light. At first, I thought maybe it was a reflection of my flashlight against a cracked window. Then it moved, a glow from beneath the bathroom door. Not a shadow, not a reflection, a light. Bright, harsh, fluorescent white. I froze. My first thought was that someone had broken in. Maybe kids. Maybe someone homeless looking for shelter. I gripped my flashlight and eased toward the door. Each step felt heavy, like the floor was trying to swallow me whole. The door was locked, always locked. I had checked it hours earlier. I knocked. Hello? Anyone in there? Silence. The light flickered once, then steadied. I leaned closer, pressing my ear to the door. Nothing. No movement. No running water. No scraping of feet. Just light. Warm, buzzing light. I pulled back and grabbed my radio. Dispatch? Unit 3. We might have a problem inside the rest stop. Bathroom lights are on. Static. Then nothing. I cursed under my breath. Figures. I circled the hall. Flashlight sweeping every corner. The air felt tighter. Denser. The smell stronger now. Like something had been left in the drains for decades. I checked the other rooms. Empty. Stacks of old paper, broken vending machines, nothing alive. But the bathroom, the light stayed on. I tried to rationalize it. Electrical glitch, old wiring. The fuse box was ancient. The building had probably been rewired poorly before it closed. That made sense. Totally reasonable. Except I had been in the building hours before. Lights off, doors locked, and nothing had been moving. I stepped closer. Footsteps on old linoleum, echoing too loudly in the empty hall. I reached the door. It rattled slightly, as if someone had tried it from inside. No, impossible. Locked. I leaned my ear against the wood. The lights hummed, buzzed. I could almost hear them breathing. Then I heard it, a faint scraping. Slow, barely audible. I pulled back. The sound stopped. I shook my head. Get it together, I muttered. It's a building. Dust, wind, nothing else. I checked my watch. 1:45 a.m., plenty of night left. I went to the break room, poured some coffee, tried to shake it off. Heart hammering, hands trembling. The fluorescent hum from the bathrooms reached my ears even from across the hall. I sipped my coffee. Too hot. Burned my tongue. Didn't care. The sound of that light buzzing, alive, was worse than any pain. Another step, faint, from the hallway. The door at the far end. No one there. I dropped the cup. Coffee spilled across the floor. Brown liquid mixing with dust. I scrambled to clean it, try and pretend it was normal, but my mind wouldn't let go. I went back to the bathroom door. The light hadn't flickered. Not once. A perfect, bright, steady white. I tried talking. Look, I don't know who's in there. Whoever you are, you need to leave. No response. I touched the doorknob. Cold, solid, locked. I tried the radio again. Nothing. Static. Just static. I pulled my flashlight closer, pressing the beam through the cracks around the door. Nothing. No silhouette. No movement. Then it flickered. I blinked. The light went out for half a second, and in that half second, I swore I saw something crouched inside. Too fast to be human. Too dark to be anything normal. When the light came back, the room was empty. I stepped back, hard in my throat, tried to rationalize. Shadows. Quick movement. My mind playing tricks. Stress. Fatigue. Graveyard shift hallucinations. I walked away. Tried to ignore it. Sat in the car for a few minutes. Caffeine buzzed. Adrenaline pulsed. Then, from inside the building, a faucet turned on. No water running before. I checked every sink. No leaks. No dripping. The handle turned itself. Slow. Intentional. I froze. I wanted to run. I wanted to leave. I wanted to call someone. Anyone. But I knew no one would believe me. I crept toward the door again. Flashlight shaking. Every nerve alive. The faucet stopped. Silence. Then, the lights turned on again. Not flickered. Not dimmed. Full on. Humming. Buzzing. Alive. I banged on the door. Stop it. Whoever's there, this isn't funny. Nothing. I stepped back, breathing hard, palms sweating. My flashlight cut across the room. Shadows moved, bending at impossible angles, slipping along the walls, folding into corners that didn't exist. The smell changed. Worse now. Metallic, rusted blood, old decay. The kind of smell that sits in drains for decades and waits. I called dispatch again. Unit 3. I need advice. Bathroom lights keep turning on. There's something here. Static. Nothing. I finally backed away. Stayed near the exit. My truck. Fresh air. The hum of traffic in the distance. The lights went off. I waited. Nothing. Silence. I stepped closer. The lights flickered back on. I walked out. Locked the door behind me. I never went back inside that night. The next day, I checked the building from outside. Windows empty. Doors closed. Lights off. Normal. Harmless. But I knew those lights weren't broken. They weren't electrical. They were alive. Waiting. Watching. And in the dark behind locked doors, I could still feel their gaze, humming and buzzing, knowing I had seen them. I told myself I was imagining it. I really did. The rest stop bathroom had been weird from the start, lights flickering on by themselves, faucets twisting like they had their own will. The whole place smelled of rust and mildew, so thick it made your eyes water. I tried to convince myself that was enough explanation, that nothing else was real, that I was just tired, just on edge. But that night, I learned how wrong I was. I walked down the hall toward the bathroom, flashlight in hand, heart heavy in my chest, like it was trying to squeeze itself free. The building was quiet, except for the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. I left the first one on, the light buzzing over cracked linoleum, painting the walls a harsh white. Shadows stretched across corners where the ceiling had sagged, dancing slowly as my beam swept over them. And then I saw the stalls. I froze. It was subtle at first. Nothing moving, just the doors closed, unremarkable. But then I noticed shapes, not shadows, not tricks of the light, figures, sitting, still, facing the doors. I blinked, my pulse raced, my flashlight trembled in my grip. I stepped closer. The first stall, a figure, dark, thin, no features visible, just sitting, motionless, upright, facing the door. I swallowed, tried to steady my breathing. "Hello," I whispered. Nothing. I moved to the next stall. Same thing. Another figure. Still, facing the door. I wanted to convince myself it was mannequins, props, something I could rationalize. But I could feel them. Not physically. Not yet. But there was weight to their presence. A pull, like the air around them was thicker, colder, heavier. I stepped back. My flashlight beam shook, swinging across the cracked tiles. I counted. Every stall, every figure. All sitting, all facing the doors. Motionless. No faces. No eyes. Just intention. I tried to laugh. A short, broken sound. Okay. This is weird, but it's fine. They're not real. They're not real. I tried to shake it off. Walk past them. Keep doing my rounds. But the closer I got, the heavier the air became. Like I was walking through water. My skin crawled. Hair stood on end. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. And yet I couldn't. I had to see. I leaned over slowly toward the first stall. My light trembled as I aimed it through the crack under the door. Nothing. Just darkness. Just a faint shine of old tile. But I felt it, watching, waiting. I pulled back, heart hammering. The next stall. Same thing. Darkness that wasn't quite empty. That didn't belong. That pressed against me. I stumbled back into the hall. My flashlight swung wildly. The figures didn't move. Not a twitch. Not a shift. Nothing. And yet I could feel them. Their attention. Their awareness. Like they were counting my breaths, marking my steps, tracing the outline of my body as I moved. I tried the door at the end of the hall. Locked. Had been all night. Locked from the inside. For a moment, I imagined the door rattling. Imagined something behind it, waiting, listening. I wanted to run. I wanted to flee into the night, into the fog, anywhere but here. But I didn't. I kept walking. I told myself I was checking. I told myself it was part of the job. Then I noticed something worse. Something that made my stomach drop. So low, I thought I might throw up. One of the stalls wasn't just sitting. It had moved. Slightly. Just enough to be noticeable. Not a shuffle, not a step. Just leaned. Head bowed slightly, just off-center. Facing the door. Watching me. I froze. My flashlight beam shaking. My chest tight. My hands slick with sweat. The sound started then. Faint. Soft. Almost like the creak of a body shifting weight. Not a floorboard. Not the building settling. Something alive. Something waiting. I spun. The hall was empty. The other stalls. All still. Motionless. Watching. I took a step back. Footsteps echoing behind me. But only in my mind. The fluorescent hum of the lights above twisted into a low buzz. Not random. Not mechanical. Deliberate. Like it wanted to speak. Like it wanted me to hear. I leaned on the sink. Tried to catch my breath. The tiles beneath my boots were cold. Damp. I felt it before I saw it. A presence behind me. in the air. Thick, heavy, breathing close, slow, deliberate. I didn't look, didn't dare. The figures in the stalls didn't move. Not yet, but I could feel them. Their attention fixed on me. Waiting, counting, knowing. I tried the radio. Nothing. Static. I pounded the microphone. Dispatch. Unit 3. I need advice. There's figures in the bathroom. Stalls. Sitting. Facing the doors. Someone's here. No response. Just static. I grabbed my flashlight, shaking, and backed out slowly. Every step measured. Every breath calculated. I didn't want to turn my back completely. Couldn't risk it. The moment I crossed the threshold, the air changed. Lighter, less pressing, but the feeling remained. The pull, the weight, the awareness. The bathroom was empty, yet it wasn't. I left the building for the first time that night. Parked in the lot, hands on the steering wheel, forehead pressed against it, trying to slow my racing heart. I didn't check the stalls again that night. Didn't move until dawn. By morning, the building looked normal. Harmless. Closed since '94, they said. But I knew the figures were there. Always there. Watching. Waiting. Sitting still. Facing doors. Counting breaths. Marking movements. And remembering every person who dared enter. And I had entered. I couldn't unsee it. Couldn't unfeel it. Some nights, I still feel them. Waiting for me. Just behind a door I know I'll never open again. I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped back into the guard shack that night. The clock on the wall read 3:12 a.m. That was impossible. I had left the building just an hour ago. Or at least, that's what my watch told me. I remember checking it when I stepped outside, counting the minutes, sipping lukewarm coffee, feeling the night press against me like thick velvet. But the wall clock, one of those old analog jobs with a flickering second hand, insisted it was 3:12. I checked my phone. 1:47 a.m. The little red numbers glared at me from the screen. My watch, sitting on the dash of my car, agreed with the phone. I pinched the bridge of my nose and muttered to myself. I must have dozed off. Must have. That's all. Except I hadn't. I couldn't have. I remembered every step of the last hour, every heartbeat, every whisper of movement in the stalls, every flicker of the bathroom lights, every shape crouched in the shadows, every sound of that building breathing around me. And yet, time refused to line up. I walked back into the lot, flashlight in hand. The asphalt stretched under the pale glow of the overhead lights, and the building sat silent, closed, boarded windows staring like blank eyes. Nothing had changed. The gravel under my boots didn't feel aged, didn't feel old. No matter how long I'd been gone, or not gone, the lot felt the same. Frozen. Waiting. I tried to laugh it off. Okay, clocks can be off. Watch can be off. Maybe I lost track. I glanced at my coffee thermos. Still half full. Steam curling weakly into the air. I could remember taking that first sip an hour ago. It hadn't gone cold. That didn't make sense. Coffee didn't stay warm for hours without a lid or a thermos heater. My thermos didn't have one. I started walking perimeter again. The long stretch of pavement. The cracks filled with weeds. The sagging canopy. The dumpsters knocked sideways. Everything looked normal. Nothing was moving. The air smelled the same. Stale, damp, chemical. And yet heavier than it should have been. Weighted with something I couldn't name. I stopped near the back of the building, where the bathroom door still stood locked. The fluorescent lights inside hummed faintly. The figures in the stalls weren't there anymore. Or maybe they were, and I just didn't see them in the darkness. I wasn't sure. Time had already been enough that I couldn't trust my memory. I checked the shack. Everything looked normal. The logbook, the radio, the supplies. But I felt off. Wrong. Like I had been inside for hours, and also maybe only minutes. I tried to write down my notes, to keep track of the night, but my handwriting wouldn't stay consistent. Letters slanted differently each time. I tried to record the hour. I tried the radio. Nothing. Static. The kind of static that whispers sometimes if you listen too long. I leaned close. Swore I could hear someone breathing through it. Not a voice. Just breath. Slow, deliberate. Waiting. I sat in the shack and tried to count minutes. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. The numbers didn't matter. Time didn't flow here. I glanced at the wall clock again. 3:12. My watch, 1:47. My phone, 1:47. The logs I wrote down. Hours gone before I finished a single entry. Panic started to creep in. Not full-blown, just a quiet, grinding panic behind my ribs. I had never felt like this before, like the world had betrayed me in some fundamental way. I looked out the shack window. Gravel, asphalt, the building. Nothing moved. No cars, no animals, no wind, no life. And yet the night, it had stretched, bent, stretched and pressed at the same time. I thought of leaving. I tried to move, walk toward my car, footsteps echoing too loudly on the gravel, stretching farther than they should have. When I looked back, the shack seemed further than it should have been, and then closer. I blinked, confused. I got in the car, started the engine. Headlights cut through the lot, illuminating the same cracks in the asphalt, the same boarded windows. Nothing changed. Nothing had moved, except me. Time itself was wrong. Every moment felt stretched thin, like molasses. Every sound lingered longer than it should have. Every shadow reached farther. Every heartbeat slowed, then sped, then slowed again. I checked the clock inside the car. Still 3:12. I tried calling the dispatcher. My hands shook as I dialed. Nothing. Static. Whispers again, like someone leaning just behind the line. Breathing. I hung up, trembling. I didn't move for a long time. Just sat, watching, waiting, listening, counting, hoping somehow the night would resolve itself. And then I noticed a smell. Something faint, not there before. Metallic, iron, not quite blood, but close enough to make me gag. It came from the bathroom. The same bathroom I had sworn was empty. I couldn't see it from my car. Didn't want to get out. Minutes? Hours? Days? I couldn't tell. Nothing outside had moved. Nothing inside had changed. Only the weight of the night had grown. Heavy, pressing, patient. I remember stepping out of the car eventually. I think, or maybe I only imagined it. My boots crunched on the gravel, flashlight in hand. I walked toward the building. Every step echoed. Every shadow stretched. Every sound lingered. The bathroom door was locked. Lights off, yet I could feel it. The air around it thickened, pulled at me. A presence, waiting, watching, knowing. I tried to push the thought away. Tried to rationalize. Electrical glitch. Stress. Fatigue. Night shift hallucination. Anything. It didn't work. Because the night wasn't real. Not in the way I understood it. The hours didn't pass. The minutes didn't count. Even the clock refused to move. I think I tried to leave. Maybe I did. Maybe I sat there in the lot until sunrise. Maybe I've been sitting there for years. The thing I know for certain is this. I never clocked out. Not really. Not fully. I returned home eventually, or maybe not. Time was meaningless. The building waited for me. Shadows stretched and bent around its walls. Figures crouched in stalls. Lights flickered. Faucets turned themselves on. And I am still there, in some sense. Counting, watching, waiting. Because the rest stop doesn't care about clocks. It doesn't care about schedules or shifts or paychecks. It only cares that you notice. And once you do, you never leave. I didn't mean to take the shortcut. Honestly, I thought it would save me 10 minutes. Maybe 15. My mom had called, asking me to be home before dark. She didn't like it when I lingered at Mark's house, talking about nothing, laughing too loud. So I left, fast. The main road was jammed with the usual Friday night traffic. Tail lights stretched in a red line I didn't want to follow. So I remember the gravel road. Locals never used it after dark. The old county road. They called it empty, quiet, perfect. At first, it seemed normal. Gravel crunching under my tires. Trees on both sides, thick and low, swallowing the headlights. The air smelled like wet dirt and pine. Nothing unusual. The kind of road you could imagine your whole life without ever having driven. Then the woods closed in, literally. The branches arched overhead, thick, tangled, scratching against the roof as I drove. I laughed softly to myself. Great, creepy, whatever. My hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles white. The radio was off. No music, no static, just the engine and the gravel. Crunch, crunch, crunch. After a few minutes, the road started to twist. Sharp turns that didn't seem right. Dips that weren't on the map. I checked my phone. No signal. Of course. Nobody had service here after a mile or two. Just me, the car, and the shadows stretching like black water along the tree line. Then I saw something. A figure, standing at the edge of the road. Just there, motionless. Not waving, not moving, just watching. I blinked, thought maybe it was a deer or a tree stump. Anything, but no. It had a shape too human, a stance too deliberate. I swallowed hard and pressed the accelerator a little. It didn't move. It didn't flinch. Just watched. I told myself I imagined it. My eyes were playing tricks. Stress, fatigue. Maybe I had stayed at Mark's too late. Heart racing. I kept driving. Gravel crunching. Tires throwing stones into the darkness. Then the figure stepped onto the road. Not running, not walking, just sliding, gliding, like the gravel itself didn't want to touch. I froze. I wanted to stop, get out, scream. But I didn't. I pressed the accelerator harder. The car rattled over rocks, headlights swinging. The figure stayed, watching, waiting. My mind screamed for explanation. It's a kid, a local idiot. Stop imagining things. But the shape, the way it didn't move naturally, didn't scream, didn't run, it wasn't human. Not really. The road twisted again. Another turn. The figure vanished. No movement. Nothing. Just the sound of gravel. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I breathed harder. Tried to convince myself it was gone. Probably ran into the woods. I laughed, shaky, too loud. Yeah, just a person. No big deal. You're fine. I drove faster. The trees leaned over. Branches like crooked fingers brushing the roof. Shadows pulled on the gravel, stretching long, reaching toward me. My headlights didn't illuminate everything. Some areas stayed pitch black, like the night itself had absorbed them. Then I saw more. Figures, standing along the sides of the road. No faces, no eyes, just shapes, watching, waiting, not moving, not breathing, but aware. I couldn't tell how many. 5, 10, more? The darkness made them multiply. My stomach sank. I swallowed hard. Hand shaking. I tried to steer clear, but the road narrowed. Gravel kicked up under the tires. My pulse pounding. Every instinct screaming to turn back, to go home, anywhere else. The first figure reappeared. Closer. On the road again. I didn't see it approach. Just, it was there. I braked lightly. Gravel skidded. My heart thudded against my ribs. I wanted to stop. Get out. Run. I didn't. I didn't want to see what happened next. Then the car lurched. My seatbelt tightened. The figure was gone. I checked mirrors. Empty road behind. Just trees. Just shadows. Just me. I gripped the wheel tighter. Tried to convince myself. Nothing's there. Nothing is there. But the next turn, the next bend, something touched the car. Not hard. Not a slam. Just pressure, like a hand brushing the roof. My stomach dropped. I looked around. No one. Nothing. My headlights caught movement along the tree line. Figures slipping between trunks, sliding behind shadows. They weren't running, not fleeing, just moving with purpose, always watching, always waiting. I pressed the gas. Gravel rattling, tires skidding slightly. My heart felt too big for my chest. I couldn't breathe right. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. And I did. I didn't stop until the gravel ended, until the main road appeared again, orange streetlights spilling over pavement. The distant sound of cars, life, normalcy. I stopped at the first intersection, engine still running, breathing hard, sweating, shaking. I looked back. The gravel road twisted away behind the trees. Empty, silent, normal. I told myself I'd never take that road again. I drove home slowly, watching shadows in the rearview mirror, checking every corner, every brush of tree. Nothing followed. Nothing appeared. The night seemed ordinary again. But I know what I saw. Figures. Watching. Waiting. Sliding through darkness like it was alive. Shadows that weren't just absence of light, but presence, pressure, awareness. I never took the shortcut again. And sometimes when the road is empty and the night is still, I swear I can feel those eyes at the edge of my vision, counting, following, waiting for the next careless driver. I shouldn't have seen it. I know that now. I was driving home that night, keeping to the back roads, trying to avoid the highway traffic. The sky was dark, low clouds pressing down, and the headlights of my truck cut through fog that seemed thicker than it should have been. The gravel rattled beneath the tires, my hands white on the wheel. I had no reason to feel nervous. I knew these roads, or so I thought. Then I saw it. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks. A farmhouse, standing in the middle of a field where nothing should have been. No road led to it. No driveway. Just the white clapboard house, windows glowing faintly with warm yellow light, and a porch light swinging slightly, as if someone had been out there minutes before. I blinked. My headlights swept the field, but there was nothing else. Just dark, rolling grass, the fence posts sagging like tired bones. No road, no path, nothing. And yet the house sat there, perfectly real, perfectly ordinary, like it had always been there. Though I had driven this stretch of road 100 times in my life. I slowed the truck, heart thudding. Must be a dream, I muttered, or a construction thing. Someone's working late. But that made no sense. The field had been empty last week, empty last month. I knew it. I had passed this exact spot just 2 nights ago. I pulled to the edge of the gravel, headlights sweeping the front of the house. There was smoke curling from the chimney. A rocking chair moved slowly on the porch, warm light spilling from windows. A dog barked once, muffled. Inside, or maybe outside. I swallowed hard. My throat felt dry. My pulse jumped. Something about it wasn't right. The edges of the house seemed too sharp, too perfect, too alive. The shadows clung to the eaves like they had weight, like they were aware of me. I wanted to turn and drive away. I really did. But I couldn't. Not yet. My curiosity, or maybe my fear, rooted me there, staring, trying to convince myself I was seeing what should not exist. I leaned closer, lowering the truck window. The air smelled familiar in a wrong way. Smoke from a fire pit, wet grass, faint perfume. The kind of smell you remember from childhood homes that aren't yours. Memory pressing into reality. Then the porch light flickered. I jerked back, heartbeat hammering. My flashlight? I didn't have one out. This was just the truck's headlights. And still the porch light pulsed, like it had a pulse of its own. I checked the field around it. Empty. No path, no dirt tracks. Just grass bending slightly under invisible weight. Shadows shifting, pooling unnaturally. I thought I saw someone in the window. A figure, standing just beyond the glow. Watching. Motionless. Waiting. I blinked. Gone. I breathed hard. Tried to rationalize. Maybe someone is squatting there. Maybe the owners came back from vacation. Maybe I stopped myself. None of it made sense. The field. The fence. No road. Nothing that could explain it. I got out of the truck. Gravel crunched beneath my boots. The house seemed closer now, larger, pressing toward me. The fog thickened, curling around my legs. I stepped forward cautiously. Every instinct screamed to run, but I needed to see. The rocking chair slowed, or maybe I imagined it. The windows glowed. No sound inside. The dog barked again, muffled, unnatural, echoing wrong. I walked to the edge of the field. The grass was wet, sticky under my boots, pulling at my shoes. The porch steps were too perfect. New wood, warm under my hand when I reached out. My fingers tingled. Cold, burning. The front door was closed. No handle visible, but I could feel the air shifting around it. I wanted to knock, want to call out. My voice caught in my throat. My own name seemed wrong, strange when I whispered it. I took a step back. The house shifted, just a little. The angle of the roof changed. The shadows moved faster, bending in ways that trees never bend. The windows stretched slightly, panes reflecting me back, but not my reflection. Something darker, thinner, watching from inside. I stumbled backward, heart racing. The fog thickened. The porch light went out. The rocking chair stopped. I ran, gravel flying under my boots. Truck forgotten behind me. My lungs burned. My mind screamed. The field seemed endless. Each step forward felt like hours, like the house was stretching ground beneath me. Pulling me in, I reached the truck. Doors locked, engine off. I fumbled with the keys, shaking, my hands slippery. Trembling, I started the engine. Headlights swept the field again. The house gone. Nothing. Just grass, fence posts, and the same empty darkness I'd known for years. I checked my phone. Time hadn't passed. Not really. Minutes maybe. My pulse still racing. My hands wet with sweat. I drove home slowly, headlights scanning every shadow, every tree. I couldn't shake the memory of the house. The smell, the rocking chair, the light, the windows, the weight of it pressing at me. I know what I saw. I shouldn't have, because the house wasn't there. It shouldn't have been. And I can't explain how even now I can still feel it, watching me, waiting at the edge of that field, just out of reach, like it's always been there, even when it isn't. I first realized something was wrong when I drove past a third house. It was an ordinary neighborhood, or at least it looked ordinary from the street. Rows of small, neat homes, lawns mowed unevenly, mailboxes leaning at odd angles, streetlights humming weakly above. I had driven past these streets dozens of times, usually on my way home from late shifts, familiar with every bend, every tree, every curve. But that night, something was different. It started with the addresses, numbers that I knew didn't exist. House 47, House 102, numbers that, on every map I had checked, weren't there. Yet they were, plain as day, painted on mailboxes, glowing in the dim light. I stopped the car, my hands trembling, headlights cutting across the street, illuminating the numbers and the front doors. Everything else was normal. Grass, hedges, porches. A cat moved across a lawn, ordinary. The mailboxes leaned, cracked paint, little dents from years of weather. Ordinary, perfectly normal, except for the numbers. I checked my GPS. No street here, no houses, just a blank stretch, a faint line where the road might have been. My phone confirmed it. No signal. My maps, my memory, the world I thought I knew. They didn't recognize this place. I tried to convince myself. Maybe old construction. Maybe new houses being built. Maybe you miss the signs. But I knew that wasn't true. I remembered passing here last week. The lots were empty. Just grass and dirt. Nothing else. I got out of the car. Gravel crunched under my boots. And the air smelled different. Earthy wet, with a faint tang of something metallic underneath. My flashlight cut across the lawns, swinging slowly. No cars, no people. Just houses standing in place, addresses glowing in the dim yellow light. I tried the first house. 47. Nothing on the windows. Curtains drawn. No lights. Normal. The door. Locked. With old, splinter at the edges. I knocked. Nothing. Not a sound. No echo. Just silence that felt heavy, pressing against my chest. I moved to 102. Same. Quiet. Empty, yet both addresses it felt alive, as if the houses knew I was there, as if they were waiting. I walked slowly down the street. My flashlight flickered. Shadows stretched, bent, seemed too long for the objects that cast them. Every now and then, I thought I saw movement. Glimpses out the corner of my eye, curtains shifting, figures crouched low in windows. But when I looked directly, nothing, just the houses. Addresses that shouldn't exist. I realized then that some places weren't on any map. Not officially, not physically. They existed between addresses, between streets, between the cracks of the world. Places you could see, could enter, could touch, and yet the rest of reality didn't acknowledge them. I tried to leave, walk back to the car. The street had shifted. Houses that had been on my right were now on my left. Lawns stretched longer. The streetlights buzzed faintly, flickering in a pattern I couldn't track. I felt unsteady, dizzy. My hands shook, gripping the wheel. My pulse hammered in my ears. I drove slowly, turned onto a side street, one that didn't exist in my memory. Grass grew through cracks in the asphalt. Mailboxes leaned at impossible angles. And there it was again, House 47, directly in front of me, though I hadn't passed it again. The numbers glowing, door closed, curtains drawn, watching, waiting. I realized I had been circling. No matter which way I drove, which turns I took, I ended up back in the same spot. Some geometry had changed. Space had bent. Reality had folded. I parked, sat in the car, heart pounding, breathing heavy. I stared at the house. The windows seemed to shimmer slightly, like heat rising off asphalt in summer, though it wasn't warm. The address glowed as if aware of me. I got out again, gravel crunching beneath my boots. I approached the house slowly. Every instinct screamed to run. My mind screamed to run. My body moved anyway, toward the door. My hand reached for the handle. It was colder than what should be. Too cold, like metal chilled by some unseen winter. I hesitated. The house seemed to breathe. Not air, awareness. Wait, presence. A shadow moved inside. Not a person, not human, just shape. Darkness folding into corners that shouldn't exist. I jumped back, heart hammering. I realized then that the houses, this neighborhood, didn't follow rules. They didn't exist fully in the same world I did. They were between worlds, between addresses, between lines on a map, waiting for people like me to notice, to wander close, to cross the threshold unknowingly. I tried to leave again, turned the car around, headlights sweeping the street. Nothing looked familiar. Every house and yard looked the same as before, yet the path was wrong. Each turn brought me back. 47, 102, the streetlights buzzing in irregular patterns, the shadows stretching longer than possible. I tried the GPS again. Blank. No signal. The map wouldn't load. The world I had trusted refused to guide me. I stopped the car, head in my hands. I couldn't count minutes. Couldn't count distance. I felt weightless and heavy at the same time. Time slowed and bent. The houses stood still, eternal, patient, watching, waiting. I finally got out and walked, gravel under my boots, air thick with metallic tang. Every step forward felt like moving through water. I approached 47 again, address glowing faintly. The door closed, the windows still, yet I could feel it, awareness pressing against me, like the house had remembered I existed. I tried knocking. No sound, no echo, only presence, only weight. I realized in that moment that some places live outside normal reality. They don't follow maps. They don't exist for others. But they are real in the way that shadows are real, the way that cold pressing on your skin is real, the way that waiting in silence, unseen, can be real. I walked back to the car, trembling, headlights sweeping the street. The houses seemed to shift slightly, watching my every movement. I drove slowly, not wanting to look away. The neighborhood stretched impossibly, twisted strangely, yet it all looked ordinary. I passed 102 again. The numbers glowed faintly, curtains drawn, nothing inside, but it knew I was there. I know now, some places don't exist for everyone. They live between addresses, between streets, between the world you know and the world you don't. And if you stumble across them, notice them, they notice you. I will never forget 47 and 102. I will never forget the feeling of walking streets that shouldn't exist, the weight of presence in the air, the way shadows bent and stretched unnaturally, waiting for me to leave or to stay. I don't know which. All I know is this: those places are real. They're there, always, and they watch. I noticed them the first night. I drove home late. I had taken the same route for years, Main Street to Cedar Avenue, then a long stretch along the old county road that cut through the back of town. Not much traffic at night. Streetlights spaced far apart, the occasional tree leaning over the asphalt. I knew every bend, every crack, every shadow. Or so I thought. He was there. At first, I thought it was a hitchhiker. A man standing at the edge of the road, arms hanging loose at his sides. Back straight, facing the direction I was driving. My headlights caught him for a moment, and I blinked. Then he was gone. I assumed I hadn't seen him clearly, that maybe he had walked into the shadows. The next night, same time, same stretch. There he was. Same stance, same place. I slowed my car, heart thumping. My hands gripped the wheel tighter than they needed to. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe a local waiting for a ride. Maybe a prank. Maybe I had just imagined him the first night. But he wasn't moving, not walking, not waving, not signaling. Just standing, watching the road, waiting. I passed, looked in the rear view mirror. Nothing, just a dark stretch of asphalt and the trees, bending slightly in the wind. But my stomach churned. My pulse picked up. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was aware of me in a way that made my skin crawl. The third night, I left work earlier, tried a different route, Main Street, Cedar Avenue, but when I got to the old county road, there he was again, exactly the same spot, same posture, arms hanging, head tilted slightly. I almost stopped, wanted to ask if he needed help. Something about him made me hesitate. Not fear, not exactly, but a sense that approaching him wasn't just dangerous. It was wrong. I drove past slowly, glancing sideways. My headlights illuminated the ground around him, the dirt, the weeds along the edge of the asphalt. Nothing unusual, but the moment I looked directly at him, he seemed sharper, more defined, like reality had focused at that instant, and he was the center of it. I kept driving, stomach tight, mind racing. Tried to convince myself it was a man waiting for a ride. Maybe homeless, maybe lost. Something explainable, but my gut told me otherwise. The next week, I experimented. I left work at different times. Early, late, in the middle of the night. No matter when I passed, he appeared in the same spot. I tried taking another road entirely. A longer route, through the highway, through side streets. But when I finally came back to that stretch, he was there, waiting, arms at his sides, head slightly tilted, watching. I began to notice other things. The air around him, it felt heavier, though nothing could explain that. My chest tightened when I approached him. Shadows along the trees stretched differently, lengthening toward him. The wind seemed to still. Even the sound of my engine felt muted, like the world itself had slowed down for a brief moment around him. I told myself I was imagining it. Sleep deprivation, late nights, my mind playing tricks. But the pattern was undeniable. I started paying attention to the other cars. The few vehicles I passed didn't see him. Not a glance, not a brake, not a horn. Just me. Only I ever saw him. I tried talking to him once. Rolled down the window slightly, my voice shaking. Hey, you need a ride? Nothing. Not a glance. Not a breath. Not even a sound. Just standing, watching the road, waiting. I drove past and looked in the rear view. He hadn't moved. Not an inch. Not a twitch. Just still. Sleep at night became difficult. I kept picturing him. The same stance. The same dark outline against the faint glow of my headlights. Shadows pooling unnaturally around his feet. Watching me. Waiting. I asked around town. Nobody else had noticed him. Nobody else drove that road late at night. Those who did avoided it. Too isolated. They said, creepy after dark. I started to dread my shifts. I left work early when I could, took longer routes, avoided the county road entirely. But sometimes circumstances forced me onto it, and he was always there. Always. One night, I slowed to a crawl, almost stopped just to stare. My headlights hit him full on, illuminating his face, or the suggestion of one. Pale, blank, expressionless, eyes empty or maybe too aware. I couldn't tell. Something inside me told me not to stop, not to get out, not to approach. But my curiosity gnawed at me. I wanted to understand, to see if he would move, speak, acknowledge me. But nothing. He stayed, perfect in his stillness. I sped away, stomach tight, heart racing, and glanced back in the rearview mirror. For a fleeting second, I thought I saw him step closer to the road, but when I blinked, he was gone. Or maybe I had imagined it. I can't stop thinking about him. That same spot, that same posture. Waiting, always waiting, even in daylight. I find myself staring at that stretch of road, imagining him standing there, motionless. I don't know who he is. I don't know why he's there. I don't even know if he's human. But I know this. He exists for me. Only me. And every night I drive that road, I feel him watching, waiting, always in the same spot. I thought I was imagining things at first. The next night, I left work late, tired, hungry, mind foggy. That stretch of road, the county back road I'd grown to hate, was quiet. Just me, my headlights cutting to the dark, gravel crunching under the tires. And him, same spot, arms at his sides, head tilted just slightly, like he was listening, watching, waiting. I slowed. My stomach sank. I knew I shouldn't, knew that stopping would be a mistake. But curiosity, that stupid human curiosity, made my foot hover over the brake. And then he moved. Not toward me, not away, just shifted, slowly. One deliberate motion that sent a cold shiver down my spine. He turned, not fully, just enough. Enough for me to catch the angle, the faint outline of a face. Pale, featureless, almost, but I could feel the weight of his gaze. And then I realized he was looking at my house. My chest tightened, my pulse thundered in my ears. I live on the edge of town, just off the road. Trees hide the house from casual view, give it privacy. But from where he stood, he could see it. Or at least, he knew where it was. The thought hit me hard. He wasn't random. He wasn't just a man standing on a lonely road. He had chosen, or somehow knew. I pressed the accelerator slowly, cautiously. Gravel rattled beneath my tires. I tried to keep my eyes on him in the rear view mirror. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared, fixed on my home as if it belonged to him. I swallowed hard, tried to rationalize. Maybe someone walking to a friend's house, maybe some prank. But no one would be standing there for hours, night after night, not in that weather, not just watching a house. I started driving faster, heart hammering, thoughts racing. But the more distance I put between me and that stretch of road, the more I felt it, that weight, like the darkness itself was pressing against my back, pushing me forward, urging me to run, but also to look. I couldn't stop myself. My eyes flicked to the rear-view mirror again. He was still there, arms at his sides, head tilted, watching. And then, almost imperceptibly, he turned slightly more. Not toward the road, not toward me, directly toward the house I lived in. My stomach dropped. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake my hands free of the wheel. But I couldn't. My mind reeled with impossible questions. How did he know? How could he see it from there? How had he always been waiting for me, every night at the same spot? The headlights from my truck didn't illuminate him fully. He stayed at the edge of the light, dark against dark, but I felt him, every inch of him, like pressure in the air, like weight pressing down. I tried to take my eyes off him, focus on the road, on the gravel, on anything normal, but my gaze snapped back. I couldn't help it. That figure was anchored in my mind now, tied to my house, tied to me. I thought about calling the police. My voice would shake. I knew, what would I even say? There's a man on a road, watching my house, every night, for no reason. They'd laugh or tell me I was tired, stressed. Maybe I was, but the cold in my chest told me I wasn't imagining it. I passed the stretch of road finally. The trees closing in on either side, darkness swallowing the gravel. He didn't follow, not physically, but I felt it anyway. The gaze, stretched across distance like a thread, like a shadow that could reach through miles. I drove home slowly, every instinct on alert, every sound, wind through the trees, leaves brushing the tires, the hum of the engine, made me jump. My house loomed ahead, dark and quiet, the front porch light off. I pulled into the driveway, heart hammering, hand shaking, every nerve on fire. I looked back down the road. Nothing. No figure. No man. Nothing but shadows and trees and the faint hum of the streetlights. I told myself he was gone. Maybe he had never been real. Maybe it was just fear twisting shadows, stretching night into something it wasn't. But deep down I knew it wasn't just that stretch of road that mattered. It wasn't just the figure. It was me, my home, the house where I slept, where I lived, where I should have been safe. And he knew it too. That night I didn't sleep. Every creak of the house, every wind brushing the windows, felt like his eyes on me. Every shadow seemed to shift in impossible ways. Pressing closer, leaning in. I didn't go back the next night, or the night after that. I tried to ignore the road, tried to convince myself it was just a stretch of dark asphalt, just a lonely man, just my imagination. But when I lay in bed, I could see him in the corner of my mind, standing at the same spot, arms at his sides, head tilted slightly facing my house, watching, waiting. And I realized in what I had feared all along, he wasn't just a man on the road. He was something else, something that knew me, something that knew my home. And no matter how far I drove, no matter how late I left, no matter which roads I avoided, he would always be there at the same spot, facing my house. I'd been on the night shift for almost 3 months, cruising the empty county roads that no one used anymore. The streets were little more than ribbons of asphalt through the fields, broken occasionally by sagging fences, overgrown ditches, and the occasional abandoned barn. It was quiet. So quiet that you could hear your own heartbeat over the hum of the patrol car. I liked it at first. Peaceful, predictable. Most of the calls were nothing. A stuck deer, a blown-out tire, a drunk driver who had taken the wrong turn. But at night, something about these roads got under your skin. Shadows moved differently in the dark. Sounds carried in strange ways. Even the wind seemed sharper, as if it had teeth. I was rounding a bend in County Road 12, headlights cutting through the mist, when I noticed the first thing that didn't belong. At the edge of the road, near an old gravel driveway that led to an abandoned farmhouse, a flicker of movement caught my eye. At first, I thought it was a fox, maybe a stray dog. But it wasn't. Not exactly. I slowed the car and kept my eyes on the spot. Nothing. Just the shadows stretching along the fence posts. The fog rolling low over the grass. I shook my head and muttered to myself, "Just your imagination." That's when I heard it. A soft sound, faint, like footsteps crunching on gravel, but irregular, offbeat, almost hesitant. My pulse spiked. I scanned the ditch along the side of the road. Nothing. No figure. No movement. Just the empty field and the skeletal trees lining the property. I eased the patrol car forward slowly, feeling my hands tighten on the wheel. Something about this stretch of road always made me uneasy. People avoided it, especially at night. Locals called it cursed or haunted or just forgotten. But it wasn't superstition that made me nervous. It was how it felt alive when no one was there. How the darkness seemed to press in closer than it should. I rounded another bend. The mist thickened, clinging to the asphalt like smoke. My headlights caught something else. Long, thin shadows stretching across the road from the tree line. I thought I saw a figure step out from the woods, tall, unnaturally still. My stomach dropped. I told myself it was a trick of the fog. Trees bending in the wind. Shadows playing games with my eyes. But my gut told me otherwise. The car's engine hummed, loud in the otherwise silent night. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. The radio sat silent, static-filled after a half-hearted attempt to catch any signal. Alone, on a road that wasn't meant for anyone anymore. I passed the old barn. Its roof sagged, boards missing, paint peeled and gray. Normally, it would have been just another structure, an old memory of better days. But tonight, it looked wrong. Shadows clung to its edges unnaturally, pooling in corners where the moonlight shouldn't reach. I could swear I saw something shift inside, just at the edge of the broken doorway. I slowed again, nearly coming to a stop. My pulse hammered. I thought of the stories other officers had told me, about people vanishing on this road, about cars being found empty with the doors locked, about lights in the distance that moved when no one was there. I never believed them. Not fully. Until now, the patrol car's headlights swept the field again. There, at the far end of the ditch, a figure crouched low, almost blending in with the shadows. I blinked. It was gone. My pulse raced faster. The mist swirled unnaturally, wrapping around me. I checked my mirrors, scanning the road behind. Nothing. Not a car, not a figure, not a light. I tried to rationalize. Could have been a deer. Could have been a trick of the headlights on the fog. Could have been anything. But my gut told me, no, not this time. I kept driving, lights cutting through the night, every nerve on edge. The road seemed longer tonight, stretching farther than I remembered, bends sharper, ditches deeper. Every time I passed the same landmarks, the broken fence, the old oak, the abandoned farmhouse, they seemed slightly different, tilted, watching, waiting. I reached a curve where the asphalt ended and gravel began. Headlights bounced off the loose stones, glinting in the mist. There, in the same spot as before, I saw it again, a shadow, tall and still, just at the edge of my lights. Nothing recognizable. Not human, not animal. Just there. I gripped the wheel tighter, heart hammering in my chest. I thought of calling dispatch, reporting a suspicious person, but my voice caught in my throat. And what would I even say? There's something standing in the ditch again. Sir, watching me. They'd laugh, or worse. Tell me I've been driving too long at night. I pressed on. Faster now. Headlights cutting to the fog, eyes scanning every shadow. Every time I thought I'd lost it, I'd catch a flicker out of the corner of my eye. A movement, a figure just out of focus. A presence that shouldn't exist on an empty county road. The further I drove, the more the night seemed to stretch, like the darkness itself was bending the road, making it longer, making me smaller, making the world press closer. I could feel it in my chest, the weight of something unseen, something patient, something watching every turn, every mile. I passed the old barn again. This time, the shadows inside seemed deeper, moving differently. I swear I heard something, a faint rustle, like clothing brushing across boards, or footsteps echoing in the silence. I held my breath, gripping the wheel until my knuckles were white. I rounded the final bend before the road merged back onto the main highway. Everything went quiet, too quiet. Even the wind seemed to have stopped. My headlights swept the trees, the ditches, the fields. Nothing, no figure, no shadow, no flicker. Just the same quiet, the same stillness that had followed me the whole night. I exhaled slowly, hands trembling, body tight with adrenaline. I told myself it was nothing, just an overactive imagination. Exhaustion, the long hours on the night shift. But I knew better, because I could still feel it. The eyes in the shadows. The presence at the edge of the road. Watching, waiting, patient. And I knew deep down that as long as I drove these abandoned roads at night, it would always be there, lurking in the darkness that wasn't quite empty, in the mist that never fully cleared, in the places where no one else went. Watching, and no one would believe me. OT the call around midnight. A single vehicle accident on County Road 9. The dispatcher said, no injuries reported. Just check it out. Routine. Easy. Nothing I hadn't seen before. But the way she said it, the pause, the static on the line, the quiet that followed, made my stomach twist. County Road 9 wasn't like other roads. It was narrow, gravel-pocked, lined with trees that leaned over the asphalt like they were listening. Fences fell apart along the edges, and the few homes were spaced far apart. At night, it felt isolated in a way that made you uneasy without knowing why. I pulled my patrol car into the ditch, lights sweeping the road. There it was, the truck, fresh crash, still warm to the touch of night air. Bent metal, shattered windshield, airbags deployed like bloated ghosts, tires twisted into impossible angles. Smoke curled faintly from the engine, but nothing else. No driver, no passengers, no bodies. I stepped out. Gravel crunched under my boots. The smell of burnt rubber mixed with gasoline. My flashlight cut through the darkness. I circled the truck slowly, every instinct screaming. Doors locked, windows shattered. Nothing inside. No blood, no footprints. Just the twisted metal and the night pressing in from all sides. I called it in. Unit 4, I have a single vehicle accident. No occupants visible. My voice sounded small. Absurd. Swallowed by the night. Dispatcher responded with a pause. Check again. Could be hidden or injured nearby. I didn't like it. Didn't like the way the night seemed heavier here. The trees leaned closer, the shadows pooling unnaturally, edges sharp against the dim beam of my flashlight. Every little sound, the creak of a branch, the distant hum of insects, the whisper of wind, made me jump. I tried to reason it out. Maybe the occupants had crawled away, wandered off in shock. Maybe they had run into the woods, injured or scared. But something about it didn't add up. Tracks in the gravel were minimal, almost non-existent. And the soft soil along the ditches should have caught footprints. Should have. But there was nothing. I circled again. Flashlight scanning the inside of the truck. Paper scattered, a broken coffee cup. A GPS device still blinking, useless without a signal. Nothing else. No sign of life. I called it in again, voice tighter this time. Still no sign of anyone. I don't see anything. No footprints, no tracks, nothing. Dispatcher's line was quiet for a moment, then stay with the vehicle. Backup is on the way. I set my flashlight on the hood and leaned against the door. Heart hammering, chest tight. I could hear every sound now. Every creak of the trees, every rustle in the underbrush, like it was amplified. My eyes kept drifting, catching shapes that weren't there, or maybe were. I wasn't sure anymore. Then I noticed the windshield. Shattered, yes, but oddly clean. No blood spatter. No dust from impact on the inside. Like the truck had slammed to a stop with incredible force. But no one was in it. I walked the perimeter. Ditched deeper on the passenger side. Mud slightly disturbed. I crouched, shined my light. Nothing. No shoes. No clothing. No sign anyone had tried to climb out. The forest pressed closer. Darkness thickening. Fog starting to curl along the ground. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed to leave. But something in me, professional pride, curiosity, whatever, kept me rooted. I checked the rear tires. They were torn, bent like something had ripped them from the axle. Strange gouges in the gravel. Parallel lines. Not consistent with a simple crash. Not consistent with human error. My pulse thundered. I stepped back, swallowing, trying to breathe. My eyes flicked back to the truck. And then I saw it. A shadow, or maybe absence, where the driver's seat should have been. Not just empty. Something else. Like the night itself had hollowed it out. Like the space had weight pressing down. I tried to shake it off. Just a trick of the light. A reflection. My flashlight trembling in my hand. I muttered to myself, it's nothing. It's just nothing. But I couldn't convince myself. Something had been here. Someone. Something. And it wasn't here anymore. The wind picked up. Rustling leaves. Groaning branches. I shined my flashlight into the trees. Movement at the edge of the light. Nothing solid. Just shadows shifting unnaturally. Edges too sharp. Forms too tall. Watching. Waiting. I circled back to the front of the truck. Headlights still on. Engine idling. No one had passed on the road. No other cars. Nothing. Just me. And the emptiness where the driver should have been. I called in one more time. Voice tight. Shaking. Unit 4. The vehicle is clear. No occupants. I don't understand. Silence on the line, and then backup will be there. Stay put. I sat in the patrol car, hands gripping the wheel, flashlight still resting on the dashboard. Every instinct screamed to leave, to drive as far from this road as possible. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not until someone arrived. I kept scanning the tree line, flashlight slicing through the darkness. Every shadow stretched longer than it should. Every whisper of wind sounded like a footstep. The air was thick, heavy, pressing against my chest. Time dragged. Minutes felt like hours. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I just watched, every nerve on edge, every sense straining to catch something, anything. And then I realized the truck was too quiet. No ticking of the engine cooling. No hum of tires settling into gravel. Just stillness. The kind that doesn't belong in the world of living things. I knew then that whatever had been here had left without notice. No crash, no panic, no sign. And that thought, more than the empty truck, made my skin crawl. I stayed there, watching the shadows, listening to the night, until backup finally arrived. Their lights sliced through the mist. Engines rumbled. Radios crackled. And for a brief moment, I thought maybe I was safe. But I knew the truth. Someone or something had been in that truck, had been here, and the night had swallowed them whole, leaving only the twisted metal, the empty seats, and the impossible stillness behind. And I knew I would never forget that feeling. The emptiness that wasn't empty. The weight of something gone, but still present. Waiting, somewhere in the darkness, along County Road 9. I never thought I'd hear my own voice on the radio and feel it claw through my chest. It started like any other night shift. County roads empty. Headlights slicing to the fog. The hum of the patrol car engine filling the cabin. I had just finished checking the old gravel stretch near the abandoned mill. The one everyone avoided after dark. Nothing unusual. Just trees, shadows, the occasional raccoon darting across the road. Then the call came in. Dispatch crackled, static-laced. Unit 7, are you there? Repeat, Unit 7. I pressed the microphone. Yeah, I'm here. What's going on? And that's when I heard it. My own voice, coming from the dispatcher's speaker. Calm, even, reporting a call that I didn't remember making. Unit 7 reporting a single vehicle accident on County Road 12. Vehicle empty. No occupants. My hands froze on the wheel. My pulse spiked. I turned the radio knob, thinking it was a mistake. Maybe another officer had accidentally keyed the mic. But no, that voice, my voice was clear, familiar, and it was describing the events from hours ago that I hadn't reported yet. I swallowed hard. Dispatch, that's me. I didn't. Static swallowed my words. The voice continued, unbothered. Unit 7 requesting backup. Vehicle is clear. No footprints, no tracks, no signs of life. Awaiting instructions. I felt a cold weight settle into my stomach. I turned the car off the road and parked. Engine idling. Headlights cutting swaths through the fog. My hands shook as I reached for the radio. Dispatch! This is really me. I'm on the road. I didn't call in any accident. There was a pause. Too long. Then the dispatcher's voice came back, calm, professional, but tinged with something I couldn't place. Unit 7, we logged your call 3 hours ago. You requested immediate assistance. Are you okay? 3 hours ago, I had been on this stretch of road the entire night, driving, watching the ditches, scanning the shadows, never leaving the patrol car, never calling dispatch. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe a glitch in the system. Maybe someone pranking me. But the words, the calm, steady report of my own voice describing an accident I hadn't yet encountered, felt wrong. Wrong in a way that pressed against my chest, made my lungs tight. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, scanning the foggy road. Every shadow seemed sharper, darker, edges too perfect, bending in ways they shouldn't. Every sound, the crunch of gravel under my tires, the whisper of wind in the trees, felt amplified, like the world itself had slowed to watch me. I replayed the call in my mind. Everything was the same. Every pause, every inflection of my voice, every word. My own tone, reporting events I hadn't yet seen. My own calmness, the professional detachment I tried to maintain during emergencies. It was me, but not me. I turned on the overhead lights in the patrol car, hoping it would somehow break the spell, make the fog less suffocating. But it didn't. Shadows still pulled in the tree line, twisting slightly as if leaning toward me. I could feel eyes in the darkness, patient and waiting, aware of my panic. I tried to call again. Dispatch. I don't understand. I haven't. Static. Then a click, and my voice again, coming from the speaker, recounting a scene I hadn't even reached yet. Unit 7 standing by. Vehicle seems abandoned. No tracks in the mud. No signs of life. Air feels heavy, oppressive. Backup requested immediately. I stumbled back in the car seat. Air thick in my lungs. Cold sweat ran down my neck. This was impossible. No human could call on their own actions before they happened. No system could mimic my voice with such exactness, down to every hesitation and inflection. And yet, here it was. I looked around the patrol car, fog rolling along the asphalt, trees bending unnaturally, the distant outline of the old mill barely visible. The radio crackled again, faint whispers beneath the dispatch tone. I thought I could hear something. Another voice, low and patient, speaking behind a familiar static. I couldn't make out words, only the cadence, almost like it was mimicking me. My stomach twisted. I thought of the accident. The empty crash I'd seen hours earlier, or was it later? I couldn't tell anymore. The timeline didn't make sense. My logs, my memory, the dispatcher's logs, all mismatched, all pointing to something that shouldn't exist, me, reporting my own disappearance. I started driving, slow, cautious, scanning the tree line. Every bend in the road seemed longer than before. Every shadow seemed to lean toward me, stretching. I could feel it behind me, something patient, watching, something that had orchestrated this, something that knew exactly when and where I would be. I tried to call for backup from my own radio. My voice trembled. I need help. Something isn't right. And my voice came back immediately, clear, steady, calm, describing the exact spot I was on, the exact way my hands gripped the wheel, the exact shallow breaths I was taking. I slammed the car into park, chest heaving. The fog pressed closer, rolling along the road, curling into the wheel wells, pooling in the ditches. Trees bent slightly, just enough to block my peripheral vision. The night felt alive in a way it hadn't before. Watching, waiting, a patient audience for my unraveling. I thought of my family, my house, the warm light of home somewhere miles away. I wanted to run, to drive as fast as I could, to put miles between me and this stretch of road. But my legs felt heavy, my mind sluggish, like the world itself resisted movement. And the voice, my own voice, continued to recount every detail, every motion, every fear, every heartbeat I hadn't yet lived through. I realized then, with a weight I could feel pressing against my chest, that I was trapped, not in a place, not in a patrol car, not in the fog, but in something else. Time itself had shifted. My actions, my presence, my life, were being mirrored before I could act, replayed, logged, watched, and the worst part, I didn't know if I could escape, because the call had already come, from my own unit, from my own voice, from me. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the fog, beyond the trees, beyond the road, I could feel it, patient, silent, watching, waiting for the moment I realized I wasn't in control, that I had never been. The radio crackled again. My voice, calm and detached, repeated the words I had whispered moments before, every syllable precise, every pause identical. I leaned back, gripping the seat, unable to breathe properly, unable to look away, unable to convince myself that it wasn't happening. It was happening, and the night was keeping record. And I knew, deep in the marrow of my bones, that my own voice, calling in my own fate hours before it should have, was only the beginning. I had been driving for hours, the kind of hours that make your mind feel stretched thin, like the asphalt beneath my tires. The sun was just a rumor on the horizon, the sky dark, but starting to pale in the edges, and I was chasing that sliver of light like it might carry me safely home. Most nights, I stuck to the main roads, the highways that hummed with other cars, other lives, other sanity. But tonight, something about the monotony had pressed too heavily on my chest. I was tired, bone-deep tired, and when I saw the turnoff of the back road, gravel swallowed in shadows, I didn't hesitate. One last shortcut. I muttered, almost home. The road was narrow, flanked by overgrown fields and leaning trees that scratched at the dark like long fingers. My headlights cut through the mist rolling off the grass, and the shadows danced in a slow, crooked rhythm that made my stomach tighten. Even the hum of the engine seemed louder here, deeper, like it was amplifying the silence rather than breaking it. At first, it was peaceful, quiet in the way the world feels when no one else is awake, when everything is just waiting. But as I drove deeper, the quiet began to feel heavier, as if the trees themselves were leaning closer, listening to the soft thrum of my tires on gravel. I passed an old barn, one I'd never noticed before, though I knew these roads like the back of my hand. Its roof sagged, broken boards visible even in the low light. Something made me glance at it longer than necessary, and for a moment, I thought I saw a shadow move inside. But I shook my head, muttering to myself, "Just tired. You're seeing things." The road twisted, long dips and hidden hollows, and the mist thickened. Headlights caught shapes at the edge of the tree-linked branches. Maybe, or maybe something else. My pulse quickened, and I realized I hadn't seen another car in miles. Not a single set of headlights. Not a sign of life beyond my own. The quiet pressed against my ears, insistent, almost deliberate. I tried to focus on the rhythm of driving. The turns, the dips, the rise of the gravel under my tires. But every time I thought I'd shaken the feeling, I caught movement just at the corner of my eye. A figure, a shadow. The shapes never stayed in one place long enough to be sure. Just a flicker, a hint, enough to make me grip the wheel tighter. And then the smell hit me. Something faint, but unmistakable. Wet earth, rotting leaves, something metallic lingering under it. My stomach turned. I scanned the road with the headlights. Nothing, only the gravel, the ditches, the mist curling low over the edges of the fields. But the scent persisted, subtle, brushing my senses like a whisper, impossible to ignore. I thought of turning back, taking the main road, ignoring the shortcut. But the road stretched behind me like a long spine, trees closing in. Every turn I had made felt like it led me deeper into a place I didn't belong. Almost home, I told myself. Just a little farther. The mist thickened again, rolling over the hood, slipping under the tires. My headlights seemed weaker here, swallowed by shadows that weren't natural. And then I saw it, or thought I did, a figure at the edge of the light, half hidden by a hollow in the trees. Tall, thin, perfectly still. Watching, waiting. My breath caught. I blinked, shook my head, tried to convince myself it was a tree branch, a trick of the light, anything. But the feeling stayed, the certainty that something was there, observing, patient, unmoving. I pressed the accelerator lightly. The gravel whispered under the tires. Every shadow stretched longer. Shapes flickered in the mist, closer than they should have been, too precise to be random. The figure or figures did not move, but I felt them track me, their gaze following the cars I passed. The road dipped into a shallow valley. Mist thickened, so much that the headlights barely reached the edges. I squinted, straining to see, trying to convince myself that nothing was there. But movement caught me. A glint of white, low and fleeting near the ditch. Something had crossed in front of the tires, fast and silent. I jerked the wheel slightly, heart hammering, but the car stayed upright. I swallowed hard. "You're tired. You're imagining things," I whispered to myself. But the voice sounded hollow, and I could feel the tension in my shoulders, the tightness in my chest, the slow, creeping fear that had settled over me. The trees pressed closer as the road curved again. Shadows pulled unnaturally, bending slightly as if leaning toward the car. I blinked, trying to shake it off, but the edges of the headlights seemed alive, flickering over shapes that weren't solid, just suggestion. A branch that wasn't a branch. A silhouette that dissolved when I looked directly at it. My hand shook on the wheel. I thought about turning on the radio, tuning to something, anything, to break the silence. But the dial stayed silent, the static thin and empty. No music, no voices, nothing but the soft hum of the engine and the distant whisper of the wind. I tried to focus on the goal. Home, just a few more miles. Almost home. Keep driving. Don't stop. But with every turn, the road seemed longer, the mist thicker, the shadows closer. It was as if the backroad itself had decided to stretch, to twist, to hold me, to remind me that I wasn't alone. Then I saw the barn again, or something like it. Smaller this time, closer to the road, but the same broken silhouette. And now I could swear there were shapes inside, sitting still, watching me pass. Heads tilted, shadows elongated. Shapes that shouldn't exist in the stillness of the morning fog. I swallowed, gripped tight on the wheel, breath shallow. Keep moving. Almost home. The words repeated in my head like a mantra. But the deeper I drove, the more the road seemed to breathe, pulse, watch me. I glanced in the rear view mirror, mist rolling along the road behind me. dark shapes curling, shifting in ways that didn't make sense. Nothing solid, nothing human, but presence, always presence. I blinked, gone, for a moment, but the sense of being watched lingered, crawling under my skin. Every mile, every shadow, every flicker in the fog made the horizon ahead seem both closer and impossibly far away. The sun had begun to tint the clouds faintly, pale gold and gray, a promise I hadn't seen before. Almost home, just a little farther. And yet, no matter how many turns I took, no matter how many familiar markers I passed, I couldn't shake the certainty that the road had other plans, that the trees, the mist, the shadows, they remembered me. They waited for me. They had been here before I arrived and would remain long after I passed. I forced myself to breathe, eyes on the faint light ahead. Keep driving. Almost home. One more turn. Just one more mile. And maybe, if I didn't look sideways, if I didn't see shapes in the mist, if I didn't feel the unseen eyes pressing in, maybe I'd make it. The fog clung to the gravel road like a living thing, curling around my tires, swallowing the edges of the headlights, muting the morning. And somewhere just at the periphery of my vision, I saw a shape pause, a shadow bending slightly, as if nodding, acknowledging me, knowing I was tired, knowing I thought I were safe. Almost home. I whispered it again, under my breath. Almost home. But the night didn't let go so easily, and I could feel it still watching, still waiting, just behind a thin veil of fog and shadows, patient for the next moment, the next mile, the next heartbeat. I kept driving. At first, I told myself it was exhaustion. I had been behind the wheel for hours, chasing the promise of dawn like it owed me a safer turn. Gravel crunch under the tires, headlights cutting ribbons through the mist, and everything seemed normal enough until it wasn't. The road didn't end. I passed familiar landmarks, or at least they should have been familiar. A crooked fence post I remembered leaning one way. Now it leaned the opposite. The same grove of trees I swore marked the halfway point seemed farther apart, their branches reaching higher, darker, denser. I turned my head to check the mirrors, to see the sun peeking over the horizon, to reassure myself that the world hadn't changed while I wasn't looking. But the sky was still black, still the same heavy shade it had been hours ago. I felt my pulse spike. Something about this stretch of road, this winding ribbon of gravel and shadow, was alive in a way that didn't make sense. It moved. It stretched. It shifted while I wasn't looking. I tried to convince myself. Exhaustion, hypnosis of monotony, a trick of headlights on fog. But logic faltered under the weight of what I was seeing, what I was feeling. Shapes began to flicker at the edge of the light. Not trees, not shadows. Figures that disappeared when I looked directly at them, only to reappear slightly farther down the road, closer than they had any right to be. I pressed my foot to the accelerator. Gravel sprayed behind the tires, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The figures didn't run. They didn't move naturally. They didn't blink. They just watched. Patient. Waiting. I tried to focus on the horizon, looking for the faintest hint of color, pale gold, pink, the first blush of sun. But there was nothing. The sky refused to change. The fog remained, curling low over the road, curling around the tires like water, swallowing the edges of my headlights. And still, the road stretched ahead, straight and unbroken, no matter how many miles I drove. I remember the panic settling in, a slow, creeping weight that pressed against my chest. I wanted to turn around, to find beginning of the road, to retrace my path. But every time I tried, the turns I took led me further in. The fences, the ditches, the same patches of grass. They all shifted subtly. Familiar markers became impossible markers. The world was bending quietly, deliberately, like it had rewritten itself while I wasn't looking. I stopped the car once, just to breathe, to try to shake the feeling of being watched. But the moment I lifted my foot from the pedal, the silence became unbearable. Not quiet, not peaceful, oppressive. Thick and heavy, full of expectation. I could feel it pressing in from the trees, from the mist, from the very road beneath the tires. The shapes were closer now. I could sense them, not see them fully, a presence that mirrored my own movements. Something about the way the road twisted, the way the fog thickened, The way the trees leaned over me, it felt like it knew me, knew my exhaustion, my fear, my desire to be home, and it fed on it, stretching itself infinitely just to prolong the moment. I tried the radio, tuning to any station I knew, hoping for a voice, a human sound, static, anything. But the dial was dead. Silence. Nothing but a hum of the engine, the creak of suspension over gravel, and the subtle whisper of wind through branches. Every sound was amplified, every echo sharper than it should have been, bouncing along the endless stretch of road like it wanted me to hear it. I thought of calling someone, anyone. My voice was hoarse, breaking when I tried to speak. Hello? Dispatch? Anyone? Nothing answered, only the sound of the tires against gravel and the low, persistent pull of the road ahead. And then the shapes moved, not in the way living things move. No steps, no rustle, no sound. They shifted as if they were part of the fog itself, sliding along the edges of my headlights, appearing closer each time I blinked. Faces, or what seemed like faces, formed from the shadows, blank, expressionless, and then gone. Every time I thought I had passed them, they were just ahead again. I could feel them waiting for me to notice, waiting for me to admit that the road had no end. I pressed the accelerator harder, but the gravel resisted, muffling the roar of the engine, slowing the car as if the surface itself had thickened. The curves of the road no longer made sense. A bend I had expected to bring me closer to home instead led to the same crooked fence post I had passed an hour, or was it 10 minutes ago? Time had stopped, or maybe it had never existed. Each minute stretched, unspooling into something unmeasurable. My arms ached from gripping the wheel. My eyes burned. I tried to shake my head, tried to force my mind back to reason, to logic. But logic had no place here. The road didn't obey logic. The fog didn't obey gravity. The shapes didn't obey reality. I started to notice other things. Small things at first. A rock that seemed to roll uphill. A puddle reflecting more than the night sky. Shapes in it that didn't match anything around me. The air smelled different, sharp and metallic, and faintly like burnt earth. Every instinct screamed at me to stop, to leave, to abandon the car and run. But the thought of the endless darkness ahead was worse. And still no sun. I forced myself to speak aloud, hoping the sound of my voice would anchor me. Almost home. Almost home. Just keep going. But my voice sounded strange to me. Hollow. Distant. Not mine entirely. As if someone else had whispered before me, in my own tone, echoing through the fog. I passed a bend, then another, and then I realized something unbearable. The road was repeating. The same bends, the same patches of gravel, the same crooked fence posts. Not in order, not in sequence, but repeating nonetheless. Every landmark I tried to memorize, every mile I thought I had covered, was already behind me. The road was a loop without end, a spiral, and I was trapped in it. Panic settled fully now, cold and deep. My knuckles whitened on the wheel. My breaths were shallow, rapid. The mist thickened until I could barely see beyond the hood. And in the shadows at the edges of the headlights, the figures waited. Patient, silent, watching me, not moving forward, not retreating, just existing in the space between me and a horizon I could never reach. I thought of home again. The pale morning light I had been chasing. But that light didn't exist. Not here. Not on this road. The road had taken it, held it, locked it away somewhere beyond my reach. Every instinct screamed to leave, to turn, to escape. But the road bent around me, swallowed my attempts, and stretched itself forward endlessly. Hours, or maybe seconds, passed. I stopped counting. I stopped trying. There was only the road, the mist, the silent figures, and the knowledge that I could never leave. And I realized then fully that the road didn't want me to reach the end. It wanted me to understand that there was no end, that some places exist only to trap, to observe, to wear you down until night, and the fog and the shadows are all that remain. I whispered to myself, voice trembling, almost home. But even those words were swallowed by the fog, carried away by the dark that had no beginning, no middle, no end. And I drove, because the road had no other choice for me.